And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Dicecream Sandwich.
We just found out about Mr. Rogers' canon bisexuality, and we are all a little
losing our minds.
I appreciate that we're referring to a real-life man as being canon.
I mean,
It is. It's canon.
It is canon. That's
canon
in the lore
of life.
Yeah, exactly. So, we are live. We've got a slightly new setup. The whole stream is actually a lot more stable this time. I can already tell that we're not skipping anywhere near as much.
Yay.
I have a lapel mic.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like we're actually like a real live stream.
And a story about all the stuff on the table because we were having pancakes and crepes because it's Pancake Day.
It is Pancake Day. So wait, why is it Pancake Day? Let's explain
It's
this again.
Shrove Tuesday, so it's kind of Christian Catholic, so it's the day before Ash Wednesday and Lent starts. So the idea is that you fast during Lent, so you eat all of your rich foods, which would generally go on the pancakes, like eggs and sugar and the like. So then
It's like skipping the whole fasting bit, and we're just eating sugar.
Yeah, basically, I was raised Christian. Do not feel that way anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But
Shout out to our Catholics on the live stream.
recovering Catholic too. But I strongly believe in Pancake Day. So, and it's a hugely
And we
great thing in
support you
British.
for it.
And yes, thank you. I love that.
Perfect. Alrighty, well, that is the introduction for today. We also,
Congratulations, Critical Role!
yes, everybody, big round of applause for Critical Role with the second fastest Kickstarter campaign of all time to hit $1 million.
Yeah.
Hitting it in less than 1 hour.
Yeah, 44 minutes.
44
This
minutes.
one's for you.
Yeah, and then also by the end of day one, hitting $3.8 million.
Whoa.
Yep.
And by the end of day two, now breaking $6 million.
Literally like our D&D.
Damn. How much have you donated to that?
I wanted to,
I'm
and
gonna
then
be-
all the goals were stopped. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm done.
No, I'm going to be donating 100.
I'm going to be donating.
There's 100 plus where you get a cool tube that says Legend of Vox Machina Crew.
If they
Dice.
add more of them, because they're all gone.
No, they're not.
I checked it earlier. Yeah, they were all gone. All of the
Perks.
attainable goals for us, like the $100 range, they're all gone.
I don't think
Unless
so.
they've added more.
I don't think
Well,
so. That's okay. Let's talk about it like
Let's talk
after
about it.
the
Oh, yeah. You couldn't have a crepe without Nutella.
I just donated
Yeah.
approximately 20 seconds of my attention to that. So.
I donated his blood, so
Yeah, there
we'll
you
see
go.
what that turns into.
But we are going live with episode 16 of Curse of Strahd under our Dicecream Sandwich banner, and y'all are pretty excited for this one.
Yeah.
You're finally getting that little bit of culmination of all those days.
Yeah,
All the
this-
bricks that we
secretive-
laid.
I've been shipping this for a while, and we got a little movement in the last game.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, you can donate from like
I
$20 to
I
like
swear I looked
$300,
earlier.
no problem.
You can still donate, but like some of them it said that they're out of the reward for that tier.
Do you want any?
I swear I looked yesterday and it said they were like out of all the
Okay, well, you know that
rewards
opens
for the
up.
low level tiers.
That
So they probably would have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they-
Open, you can
I don't
flip
know.
everyone.
I feel like that's fine. I'm sure
Anyway.
I'll look it over.
Anyway,
Just wanted to-
but
I
yeah,
appreciate the
so
option.
we are loading things
I
up with
can't
episode
look back
16, and as a little bit of a recap of what happened last time.
Tell us about it, Jordy.
Yeah, so
He's got chills.
We're multiplying.
copyright strike. And so on our last episode, the party finished off a day of revelry, enjoying the late night drinking and raucous entertainment that accompanied the Festival of the Blazing Sun in the town of Vallaki. They made their way back to the Blue Water Inn, engaged in some light drinking, some light perceptioning, as for lack of a better term. Perceiving, I guess would be the better term. And managed to find out some rather interesting things. Leaf especially having two very interesting revelations. One of the night and one of the following day. Les, deciding to take on the champion drinker, Gwendolyn, managed to best her in a competition, surprisingly enough.
That's right.
Given the 6 months that she had held the title for, and the innumerable rounds of drinking. But over the course of the night, with her getting quite drunk and Les not actually having anything to drink up until later on, did manage to best her as one of the last people in the bar before she decided to leave and go home.
Hit her on the way out.
That's right.
A nice purse of 1,000 gold pieces was given over to Les and therefore onto the party.
We
the group
invested.
went upstairs, whereupon Les had a very interesting, very vivid dream, and woke up feeling a little bit emotional, and went downstairs and had a slightly new take on the difficulties that had been transpiring over the last few weeks. The party at that point made their way downstairs, had breakfast, and decided to split up for the early part of the day, preparing for an late meeting, I should say, with Lady Fiona Wachter, a dinner at her mansion inside the village. Before then, roughly half the party was heading off to speak to the father at the church, and the other half were heading to, I believe it's just two people, were going to Vallaki, and I don't actually know the nature of that one. So, we're going to pick things up here. I'm going to roll a d6 to determine who goes first. Number 4, Leaf. What are you doing?
Hey!
Okay, we were going to see.
Burgomaster, was
We're gonna check in on our arena.
it?
And
Sorry, eating.
No, I was
so
coming
the
with you.
Burgomasters.
I was coming
Yeah.
with you, I think.
I wrote down what I was doing.
Is that something I'd like to stop off and do?
So I have the Doctor, Elith, and Les. We're going to the church. Hope, Leaf, and Allura. We're going to the. We're going to the Burgomaster,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone was going to
I thought somebody said they were going to Blinsky when I was talking earlier about it.
Considered it briefly.
Okay, so the rest of you three
We're gonna get some.
Yeah, I think it was mentioned. But,
We're a little too short.
ultimately decided not to. So, Leaf, starting things off,
Yeah.
you and Hope and Allura are going to speak to the Burgomaster.
Yeah. We're gonna, wander in. I don't know, is there anything you want to prepare? I haven't really been in there before, Laura. We kind of got stopped at the gate last time, so.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think maybe less and less. I think we should be able to get you in. It seems to me that the Burgomaster is particularly bigoted towards folks who don't look like he does. So hopefully, with just the three of us, that shouldn't be a problem, or I can kind of talk our way in.
There's something I can do if it would help me out. It wouldn't really do much for
Right. We would like to. I think Hope really wants to speak with
Yeah.
Irina to see how she's doing. So,
Sure.
we'll figure it out.
I'm not going to do my voice this week because I'm a little bit ill, so my throat hurts. So I don't want to aggravate it. So I'm just going to speak in my regular voice. I'm
That's
sorry
okay.
if you viewers
We're
don't
sorry,
like this.
Internet.
We just got compliments on our role play.
I know.
Our
Sorry.
voices. Hi.
Here, hold on. We'll do this. We'll figure this out in game. Okay, sorry. After you.
So,
Yeah.
Maybe Hope can have a cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I have a cold as a character, and so my voice sounds more normal, less whispery. Yeah, exactly. Or maybe if you like it, let me know, and I will do that as a change with level 5. The voice will look broke.
We cast throat hostage.
Yeah, exactly. So,
level 2 feet. Lesser restoration. Voice.
So good.
Alright.
but yeah, so even if we can't go see Irina and Ismark, perhaps then we can kindly give her my letter and kind of pass that on.
We'll probably be able to, try and figure something out there. So make our way over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of letters, Hope, I received your letter the other day, and I agree with you.
I feel if you wanted to discuss it with Leaf.
I was gonna say, well, I mean, if you don't want me included, I'll just hear your mouth, so it's tell me.
If you ever want to discuss it with Leaf as well, I tend to put most of my thoughts via Leaf before.
Right. I think we should see how today pans out, and then discuss kind of results of that. But I feel the same.
You guys are, I mean, like, not that I'm trying to keep it open, but you guys are allowed to talk about it, and then we just kind of know in game if you want to like, talk a little bit about
I
it.
was gonna say, if you don't want to talk, I'm cool.
Well, I mean, that's what Allura would.
Oh,
It would just be like, okay, yeah, cool, okay, and then move on.
Oh, my mind wanders. Alright. We, making our way over there?
Yes.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Is there, I mean, just wandering the castle. Is there anything out of the ordinary we might spot on the way there, kind of post that Blazing Sun Festival?
Some leftover decorations, some small scraps of food on the ground. Overall, still a few people that you can see are kind of riding the high, per se, after the festival. Definitely those who are more on the downtrodden side, looking a little bit more normal, more jubilant. Yeah, no walks of shame, per se.
That's good.
The one thing about a walled-in city is everybody kind of knows each other, so walk of shame goes a little bit further than the normal stereotype. But you do manage to make your way south, heading out of the Blue Water Inn, eventually over to the Burgomaster's mansion. You do have the long walkway leading up to it as well, and the guards who are standing out front. So the guards stop you, as you would normally do. Ulta, what brings you here today?
We'd like to check in on our former traveling companion, Irina.
Lady Irina, hold here. And he turns around and begins to make his way up the walkway. He's gone for quite a few minutes. One other guard is still standing there, and you can see he's just kind of eyeing all of you a little bit. You, not as much, but the two of you especially, just kind of keeping an eye and, a little bit of a grip on the spear. And then the original ends up walking down, and Lady Irina is indisposed at the moment. She, I believe, had a bit too much to drink last night. If you would perhaps come later today, or we could send her out to find you somewhere, we could arrange for that to happen.
That might be, I don't know. What do you guys think? Everyone think?
That could work. Is Ismark suitable?
Her brother is even worse off than she is.
Sounds like his mark. Okay.
Who else but Quagmire?
We can, sounds good to me. I've got something I was hoping doing a bit, so kill some time.
Would you like us to send her to you somewhere, or would you prefer to come back later on?
I think maybe we'll come back later.
Or maybe come back in like an hour or two or something.
Well, it's still fairly early. It's only 10 o'clock. I would say mid-afternoon.
That's probably a better idea.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you, and you will make her aware that we are coming to visit at that time.
Of course, as soon as she wakes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Right before we go, can I insight check to see if he was lying or not?
Sure, I'm making an insight check.
11.
11? Seemed to be pretty honest. Yeah, seemed to be pretty honest. He was gone for an appropriate amount of time. Nothing about his demeanor really gave away that he was lying about anything, and it does make sense, given what you saw the day before and how you've seen Ismark especially acting in the village so far.
Yeah.
It would make sense that they both had a bit too much to drink.
Fair enough.
Alright.
Thank you. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Can we see any ravens around the Burgomasters?
Make a perception check.
I'll assist help with
Go
this.
for it, so you have advantage.
Look for ones with eyes that you recognize.
So which one was that one?
Perception.
Perception. So that's a 15.
15. You notice that there are two ravens, both circling very high above, just specks against the sky. Over the Burgomaster's mansion, over Vallaki in general, they seem to be doing kind of a wide swoop. Alrighty, we'll jump over to the other three. So you three heading over to the church, making your way through, heading west through the center of the town as you've normally done. You come upon the church. Nothing really looks too out of the ordinary. It is still fairly early. Day after, there are very few faces inside. Normally, you would actually expect to walk in and hear the father running sermon, but there's one person sitting in the congregation, so he's currently just kind of wandering around, checking on candles, with Milivoj at his side.
Donovich, right?
Hey, who?
The priest.
Donovich.
Father Donovich.
Right.
Father Donovich.
Wait, Stanovich is the guy from
Donovich is the other guy, right? He was
from Barovia.
Father, oh boy. Padre.
You.
He's wearing a name tag.
Very good.
Father Petrovich.
Ah, that's
That's
it.
what it
This
is.
is Father
They're both
Donovan,
bitches.
the other one, right?
Yeah, Donovich.
Yeah.
Classic Donovan.
Classic Donovich.
Father Petrovich.
Yes, what can I do for you?
I wanted to inquire as to a few prominent people within the community. I thought as a community leader yourself, you might be able to provide me some insight.
I have been around for more than long enough. Who is it that you're curious about?
I was curious about the Wachter family, if their history in the city.
The Wachters. An interesting group.
I've seen that they've been around for quite a while. They're in the town outside.
Yes, well, Lady and Lord Wachter, they grew up as nobility in the village. I believe some time ago, one of their parents, I believe, was the Burgomaster at the time, but that was, oh God, at least 50 years ago at this point. That has since passed on to the Vallaki family. Ever
How
since
did
then,
it pass? Do you know?
lack of support from the community. They appear to lose favor with the villagers within our walls. So, since then, they have kept to their mansion. They do still have quite a tidy fortune. I'm sure if you walk past their mansion at some point, you will see that. It is in quite nice repair still.
Pardon me, Father, how does the Burgomaster... I was under the impression that it was not an elected position, but perhaps it is.
It is more so elected in that the public will not stand for one person to be Burgomaster if they do not believe in them any longer. Someone will then take up the mantle, and that person will then choose a successor until the public no longer feels them worthy.
If there were someone in town now who was to become Burgomaster after the current Burgomaster, who do you think would that be?
If it were to happen immediately, I don't actually know, but I know that Baron's son is being trained to be the next Burgomaster when he comes of age. I believe he's in his teens at the moment.
So it's passing down in the family currently.
It has been for quite some time. That typically is the way that things are, is that
Yes.
one Burgomaster will pass along the traits to their kin.
It's been 50 years, you said, since the...
Yes, Baron Vargas, he's, I believe, the second in his line.
I apologize, though. You were saying about the history of the Wachters. They're a rather wealthy family in the city.
Very wealthy family in the city. They tended to retreat within their walls after they were ousted from power. They still hold some sway, and they do take some interesting communions, I suppose is the right word, of people going in and having assorted dinners with them. But
Is that so? Like what? Like of what measure?
just rather odd people, is my understanding. Just the ones who feel like slight outcasts from within the city.
People like us.
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, yes.
Would they also be outsiders, travelers from outside the city?
I couldn't speak to that, unfortunately. It is entirely possible, but it has been some time since we've had a traveler make their way this far inland, so I'm not sure.
Interesting. Do you know much of Lady Fiona?
A very sharp woman. Very intelligent. The few interactions that I've had with her, she's not much one for the church. But she has definitely struck me as somebody who does not appreciate the ill-spoken. We will put things that way.
Noted.
Good to know.
Interesting.
Thank you.
We're just trying to find our lay around the town.
Yes, of course. Well, you've been here for a few days at this point. Your tribunal, I believe, is set for, is it tomorrow or the next day?
We haven't been given an exact date yet.
Oh, that's odd. All right. Well,
Why so?
Well, normally when there is a tribunal, you're given ample time to prepare some kind of a defense. I had assumed that the Burgomaster would be making some kind of arrangements to have that happen a few days after the festival.
We've not been formally told of any arrangements as of yet.
Oh.
But perhaps the festival has disrupted the normal way of
I
doing
would have to
things.
imagine that would be the case. In that case, well,
if I see any of the guards, if I do end up seeing the Burgomaster at any of my services, I will make sure to ask him to reach out to you. You are staying at the inn still?
That's correct, yes.
Yes, of course. Okay, I will be sending some kind of letter over there. Well, he will be, I suppose.
Of course. Father, I have another question. The festival, how was it for you? How was it for your parishioners?
It was quite good. We had a lot higher turnout for my sermons than normal. It usually does tend to happen with these kind of a festival, bringing everybody out and celebrating together. It was a good chance to see the less fortunate people of Vallaki have a chance to have their fill.
Do they not often?
Well, it is a difficult city. We try to stay within our walls as best we can. There is some farming that can be done, but a lot of the individuals, unfortunately, are forced to barter and make trade with the things that they find, or make some kind of arrangement to have payment for some services rendered. And it is very difficult for a lot of them to be able to afford the finer things in life. These festivals remind them that there is some nice things that can still happen. For the rest of us, it is a bit of a drain, a taxing one.
But Father, don't even the poor have to pay for their privilege of filling their bellies?
They do, but they pay part of their wage for food that they would not be able to have, as much as they can possibly eat. I have heard stories of people gorging themselves sick at these festivals, trying to just eat as much to keep meat on their bones.
I see, so the amount of money, they receive more food than they would otherwise be able to get for it.
For the very much more less fortunate, yes.
I see.
Interesting.
That is interesting talk on it.
50%.
Pardon me. Another thing. Were you at the opening ceremonies of the festival?
Everyone was at the opening ceremonies. That poor man.
We were wondering how he was doing, if you've heard any news.
Well, I tended to his wounds from being dragged through the rocks and the mud. He's all right. He's been stripped of his position, no longer a member of the guard. But I believe the mental anguish will be the true test.
Do you know where he's being held right now? Where he's attending? Where his wounds are being
he's
attended
recovering downstairs, actually.
Downstairs.
Yes, he came here for the treatment
church.
yesterday when the festival was taking place.
Would you mind horribly if we spoke to him? I just wanted to make sure he was okay. We were all very shook up by his treatment.
Of course. Do you mind if I go check on him? He may still be sleeping. It is still quite early.
Please, by all means.
All right. Hold on.
Before you go,
Of course.
does the Vallaki drinking champion get any special privileges?
Well, I'm not sure. Have you seen Gwendolyn?
No. I saw her in a pile of puke after I took her title last night.
He's
Right
very
into
proud
the
of his
priest.
father.
Make a persuasion check.
But that's what happened.
I know.
true.
You're persuading him
Oh,
that it actually happened. He looks at you
I
and
don't
just kind of
believe you.
knows Gwendolyn and goes, "Mer?"
Oh god, you've given up on that metal die.
I know.
Like when I saw you'd rolled it in your Insta story, I was like, Kevin,
Natural
why?
2. It was like so close to a 20 and
Why?
it's like, fuck you.
I've given up on it. I'm sorry, Geoff. 17.
17. He just kind of looks at you and just kind of. Did he really?
You
You
did.
really? What? How did you manage to do that?
Gills.
Oh God! Put those away.
That is a very interesting reason.
He's full of surprises. The more
So
that we
we're
learn,
learning.
the more
So,
we
like-
learn, the more we're surprised.
Would the champion get like 20% discount off of things in the town? Is there a badge? Is there a trophy?
Well,
He's a
I-
priest, Les. He's not
I
a sheriff.
know
Well, he
that-
knows
Just
some
have to
things
check
about
on
this
it.
town.
Like,
Well,
just
I-
goes to the
drink.
festival.
I do know that
He's a priest, he
Gwendolyn
drank.
didn't really pay for many of her drinks at the inn most of the time, but I also don't know if that was a combination of her, well, just imposing stature and the fact that she was a god and that she was the drinking champion. But
Right.
you could try that if you were interested.
Speaking of Gwendolyn, Father, is there a place we could see her just to, not rub it in her face, but, you know, to say hello after the events of the evening.
Yes, I'm sure. Unfortunately, I don't actually know where she lives in the town. You could potentially ask a few of the guards, see if they might have any idea of where she resides.
Is there a barracks or anything?
We are not a truly trained military.
I understand.
The closest thing to a barracks is on the Burgomaster's grounds. There's some kind of a small armory and a small training fighting area, but that's about it. It's kept far outside of the eyes of the standard folk.
Thank you very much. We'll wait here while you speak.
Yes, of course.
Before you go, Father, I have one more question. I'm sorry, we're really just curious about the town, and with our upcoming trial, we're just wanting to gather more information. Can you tell me all the donations that go towards the festival? Whose coffers do they end up? Do they go towards the Burgomaster? Do they go towards the next festival that's come forward to the line?
It is a combination of the two. Part of it is taxed and then redistributed to the people who bring their wares and provide them at no charge. So all of the food that was provided, all of the attractions that were given. The remainder of it typically goes towards the next festival, with a small amount going to any of the staff that was hired to work in the festival.
I see, thank you. It's very interesting. Good to know.
Of course. Oh, anything else before I go?
No. Thank you very much. We'll wait here while you
We
speak.
appreciate you.
You hear someone cry, it's Leaf, he's here, wait!
Wait, more questions.
So he turns on his heel and then slowly makes his way down with Millie Bosch at his side, and then eventually goes downstairs. And a few minutes pass, and you kind of wander around a little bit. And you notice the typical things that you're used to seeing in the church. Nothing really particularly new, except there is a series of, you can see additional, definitely not fine, but at least handcrafted symbols of Paywar. Seems like there were maybe some donations to the church for the festival as well.
Directly to the church?
Directly to the church, yeah. And eventually he does make his way back up, and there is a bandaged and somewhat limping, but definitely not in too much pain man beside him. The man who was being dragged behind the horse yesterday.
Thank you, Father. Sir, how are you doing? We were at the opening yesterday, and we wanted to check on you. I'm a doctor, and I thought perhaps I could take a look at anything if it was broken or injured.
You're a doctor?
Yes.
I mean, the father, he patched me up pretty good yesterday, so I'm not really sure if there's anything else that you can do, but if you want to take a look, you're welcome to do so.
Yeah, I'll give him a quick look, see?
All right.
Go make medicine check.
Wow, that's a 20.
20.
Yeah.
He's got scrapes and bruises, a couple of larger cuts that you can see that have been filled in fairly well, dressed fairly nicely. Nothing that really looks like it's going to be too badly infected or anything. Given that he was dragged through mud and dirt and rain yesterday, you were a little bit on the worried side for that, but overall looks like he's probably going to make a full recovery. But you do notice that every time you kind of unwrap a bandage and something shows, he kind of winces a little bit. Not actually in pain, but more so at the remembrance of what happened. It's definitely going to leave some kind of psychological trauma on him for at least some time.
Father, do you mind if I speak to this gentleman alone? Is that all right?
Of course, if that's all right with you. And he turns it. Yeah, that's fine. What can I do
What's your
for you?
name? What's your name, son?
My name is Lars.
Lars. Pleasure to meet you, Lars. My name is Dr. S. Now, I was curious. You seemed very upset at the festival. What was going on?
I wasn't upset. It was funny. I felt so badly after I laughed, but he had the torch and he was walking in the rain, and then he put it up and he wanted to light it on fire, and then it just went out, and it was just funny.
It was pretty funny.
And nobody laughed but me, and then everybody just, the whole crowd parted, and it singled me out, and this all happened. It was terrible.
Looks like the both of us got our butts kicked yesterday, eh? And I slap on the back.
Make a strength check, probably.
Oh.
Slip a disc.
Smoke him in.
You should have used the metal die.
Nope. No, I'm not using that no more. 22.
Oh no!
I'm back, baby.
Oh boy.
So he's just kind of like, and he just kind of like turns and looks at you a little bit as you aim for the center, or for the center of his back. As he kind of turns a little bit, you catch the side of his shoulder, and you hear a slight, as his shoulder just ever so slightly pops out of socket, and he just kind of.
I apologize for my friend. Can I try to reset it?
Yeah!
Absolutely.
Make a medicine check.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. 23.
23? Okay. And you just kind of like immediately go over and just rapidly center of his collarbone, opposite side, and immediately snap it back
You were
into
telling
place.
us about your bad day.
And there's an audible, as the whole room echoes slightly with the sound of the bone on bone snapping back into place. And he just kind of,
That's good help, dude.
I apologize for my friend.
So he's a very good doctor.
the fuck is wrong with you?
Less, perhaps. Wait. Okay.
Oh!
Let's talk to the boy.
Hey, boy!
He just runs.
The boy who is mute.
Go talk to him. He'll listen to your stories. Lars, you're a member of the guard, right?
Was a member of the guard, yeah.
I'm very sorry to hear about your being stripped of your rank and title.
It's crying shame.
I feel like it's unfair. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I worked really hard for that, and it was really really mean what happened. I don't like it.
It was very inappropriate. It was just a laugh, right? It was just fun.
Only
It
a
was
moment.
funny.
It was very.
How
funny.
did nobody else laugh?
Can I Lars, may I ask you about the city guard? The Burgomaster, how does he treat you? I mean, prior to yesterday.
Well, the guards get a lot of respect from the people within the city. We usually go around, and there are a few who they've been doing it for quite some time. They feel pretty entitled to things. They'll, occasionally grab an apple off a cart somewhere and just walk away with it. The benefit of it really is that you just get a decent wage. You don't actually really do too much most of the time. I mean, our presence in the city is really what the detraction for most people is. But outside of that, I've never really had a proper interaction with the Burgomaster. It's always through Isaac.
Isaac, he's new in town, right? Or newish?
No, he predates me.
Really?
Well, I'm only 19.
Oh, of course.
I remember growing up, and he was always at the Burgomaster's side. He's been there for at least 10 years.
Really? What's Isaac? I saw him the other day, and he seemed very stern.
Stern is a good way of putting it. He's just very direct. He knows what he needs to do, and he just does it. He does what the Burgomaster asks of him, and does it very well.
You're 19. You've been around for a number of these festivals. They've been going on quite a while, right?
They were less common a few years ago, and they've started to become slightly more common, usually about once every solstice.
What changed?
We're not really sure. I think maybe the Burgomaster's son's starting to reach some kind of an adulthood. Maybe, well, he's only, I guess, 13 at this point, so not really an adult yet. But maybe just picking up more and showing him what it's going to be like when he eventually takes over the leadership.
So they increased the amount of festivals?
It was also the people in the town, especially the lower class people, the ones who don't earn quite as much, were feeling very unappreciated. And the guards, the ones who've been around for a while who feel more entitled, were starting to... They were being dicks, to be honest.
Well,
And so I believe the Burgomaster heard of what had been happening and decided to do things that would kind of keep them in some kind of upbeat position.
So off in the distance you hear, and then she puked. and then right after she puked, I puked, and then I won the whole thing.
Anyway,
And it's just you basically yelling at an altar boy.
Yeah.
And who is mute, and he's just like holding a little book to his chest.
I'm behind him as he's reading, and he's
No,
like,
he's like listening to you because someone is talking to him.
Oh.
He's
He
very polite.
communicates via the notebook.
Yeah. And
oh
so,
right, yeah.
Yeah, he communicates by the notebook, and he's kind of holding it to his chest, like both hands clasping it, like thinking you might try and take it from him for some reason.
But he's very intrigued by kind of unusual.
You're not there.
Oh,
So-
talk to yourself again.
It's
so
this new level 5 voice thing.
You
I like grow
stronger.
consistently.
I feel stronger.
Yeah.
But it was just me.
so
well, I have more questions. Do you have
I have questions.
Please.
Yes. Lars, we're just really shocked to see this kind of violence when we came into town, and especially against one of their own. Is it often that the Burgomaster has outbursts like that?
well, he doesn't really leave his mansion all that much. I mean, he really only comes out for festivals and major things. Any of the solstice festivals, any of the festivals that he throws. Outside of that, Isaac is the one who's really seen in the public eye more often than anything. But if you disrespect the Burgomaster, you get what's coming to you. I don't feel like this was really warranted. I don't feel like I meant to
I don't think
disrespect
you
him.
disrespect
I don't think so either. It was
No.
funny. I
It
get
was
it.
funny.
It's very funny.
See? You guys get it?
Yes, we do.
get it.
We're very. Now, Lars, I have another few questions. The guards, do you have a place that you all hang out, that you train? We met one of your fellow guards people, Kai, the other day.
Yeah, they're scary. Like, real scary. Like,
What makes you say that?
they're one of the strongest people in the guards, in general, in the town, really. And yet, they always want to be training more. Always wanting to prove how strong they are. I feel like... I feel like they... I don't know. They're just not the same as everybody else.
Interesting.
It's a very odd thing.
I think they hold themselves apart.
I believe they hold themselves to a higher standard than anyone else, and they want to just remind us that we are not as good.
They're very talented.
Would you know where to find them? We bumped into them at the tavern the other night.
I don't know where they live, unfortunately, but there is a training area. I used to be able to go there, behind the Burgomaster's mansion. I'm sure you could make your way there if you wanted to. You just need some kind of approval. Maybe talk to Isaac, see if he can show you around.
If we've not met Isaac yet, if we were to find a way to make contact with him so that we could, perhaps go and train, is there somewhere we could perhaps arrange to have a meeting?
I'm sure you could just ask any one of the guards. I mean, this may have to wait until after your tribunal, of course. But if all your charges are cleared, I'm sure that he'll be willing to take a meeting and maybe be able to show you around a little, especially if you help out the village as much as it seems that you have, at least based on what the father's been telling me.
We've been trying to. It's true. Because Lars, we're like you. We've gotten a little bit misunderstood for something that we definitely didn't intend to ever have anything to do with, something that would make the town judge us. Would you tell us anything about what the general thoughts of the townspeople are regarding us? We know we're quite hard to miss as a group, and we've been told that there's been a lot of gossip around us. Do you think we have a chance at the tribunal?
We've been trying to do right by the town.
We really
Lars.
have.
With the father speaking on your behalf, that's a pretty good one. He's a well-respected man of the town. Outside of that, I'd recommend just penance, giving as much as you can. Anything that you have that you don't feel like you need, give it to the village in some way. Whether that's gold, any kind of equipment for the guards to take care of us. Everything is appreciated.
That's very good to know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have you have anything else you'd like to ask him?
No, just, what will you do now, Lars?
I don't know. I mean, my parents are gone. The guards were really my family for the last couple of years. Maybe just general laborer. I don't know. I'm not much of a religious man, so there's not much for me to be doing here in the church. But I'm sure I could find something. I mean, pretty strong guy.
I'd like to palm a gold in my hand and go to shake his hand and say, "You're gonna be all right, Lars."
And he just kind of reaches out and trying to see if he like just drops the gold. He just kind of like grabs it, just kind of feels it in your hand. It's just like pulls it back and looks at it, and just like.
Thank you for your information.
Thank you for your time and good luck.
I appreciate this. If you really want to do this, could it not be a gold?
All right.
And he just kind of puts his hand out back to you. Take it back.
Take it back. And I'm going to hand him 10 silver, right? Yeah, I'll just hand him 10 silver.
And he just kind of like, and the coins are jangling a little bit at this point. He just kind of like cups his hands out a little, and like the awkward, definitely hurt arms.
Aww.
Grab the silver and just kind of. I can never thank you enough for this. I hope there's something that I can do for you at some point. I'll speak on your. I don't know if that's actually going to do anything now, but I would say and speak on your behalf of your tribunal. But with what happened yesterday.
Just if you speak to any of your friends who are still in the guards, let them
know
know
that we're on their side.
we're trying to do the right thing in this town. We're a little at odds in this land, and we'd really just like to find our bearings.
What's this person's name?
Lars.
I'll if I end up talking to any of them between now and then, have you started mounting your defense? I mean, your tribunal's tomorrow night. Are you ready for it?
Right.
We haven't been told when our tribunal is.
You what?
We hadn't been told when our tribunal was.
But I heard Isaac say that he dispatched somebody to send you the message.
No one's come to find us, and we're not that hard to find.
No one's come to find us at all.
They said it was gonna be like
In a couple days.
A couple days.
They told us
we were
three-
never given a.
They told us 3 days yesterday.
Sorry, I just had a thought.
We were
That's-
told it was
that's
for a
really
few more
weird.
days after the festival.
Do you know who he dispatched? Was it one of your guard friends?
No, he just said that he had dispatched somebody. I assumed it would have been a guard or one of your friends, the man and woman who.
It's Mark and Irina.
Yeah, they're staying at the Burgomaster's mansion.
Yes.
I thought maybe them, but I don't know for sure.
No one's told us. Lars, just if we have to mount a defense for the last minute now at this point, what do they normally look like? How do people defend themselves?
Well, the tribunals haven't happened for quite some time. I actually haven't even seen one myself. I've just heard stories about how they go. Typically...
No, Lars is cool.
I know what this is all about. It's just really funny.
They can't catch us unaware because we don't have a plan.
You can't trick us. We don't know what we're doing.
Can't trick us, we're tricking ourselves.
So, but yeah, typically the tribunals, based on what I've been told at least, is that the charges are laid, the opposition gets to mount some kind of a statement about the offenses that you've made. In this case, I'm going to guess it's that Henrik guy, and he's essentially, the Burgomaster is then going to give you a chance to defend yourself, explain your actions, and maybe if you've been some kind of a benefit to the village, then you can defend yourself with what you've done, and maybe that outweighs the crimes that you've committed. After that, the Burgomaster retires to his chambers, and usually fairly quickly there's some kind of a, what's the word?
Judgment.
Judgment, verdict, that kind of a thing.
What kind of punishments await those who are found guilty?
Depends on the crime. In your case, I'm gonna guess here that charges are probably gonna be something like attempted murder, burning house to the ground, destroying a local business, disrupting peace. That's going to be, at best, banishment. At worst, against a wall, tied to the wall,
You can try.
and then you bleed.
Sorry, should we repeat that?
And then you bleed.
You
But
bleed.
what before that?
Up against the wall, tied to the wall, and then you bleed. As in, they're going to kill you.
Oh, that makes sense, Lars.
I thought maybe they're gonna like leave us.
See, I thought it was a special thing too.
Well, you're not citizens. You would get whipped and be allowed to return to daily life if it was a minor offense and you were citizens of Vallaki.
This guy knows a lot.
I've never seen one. It's been a really long time
Right,
since somebody
it's
did what you
unusual.
did.
Happy to.
What happened to me is usually as far as it goes.
I see.
Somebody breaks the law or feels like the Burgomaster feels like he's been wronged in some way, that person will be made an example of.
What kind of way would the Burgomaster feel wronged? Do people normally, disrespect him or disrespect his post?
Nobody disrespects him or his post.
So,
Interesting.
very well.
At least
yes.
if they do it once, they don't usually do
Don't
it again.
Is it usually Isaac who doles out punishments?
The Burgomaster will make the verdict. Isaac and the guards are the ones who carry out that, based on the punishment that the Burgomaster feels necessary. I'm sorry, my wounds are really strong.
No,
absolutely. Please rest, and thank you so much for the information. We really appreciate you giving us a little bit of warning.
Yes. And as we said, we are on your side. We're here to help you and any guards who understand our plight. Thank you, Lars.
Now, some people think that Krakens came from a lake. Those people are idiots. They came from...
Les, we're leaving.
What? Okay.
And he just kind of looks over and just kind of thanks. And as he sees Les start to come over, he just kind of quickly scurries backwards a little bit and does the hobble shuffle towards the.
Good
towards
luck
the
to you, Lars.
Thanks.
He's
and
a
ducks
nice
down around
guy.
the corner.
So, Lars told us that our tribunal's tomorrow night.
Yeah.
It's what?
It's tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow night.
We were told.
Right,
He
we were
also
not
told us
told
that
that.
Isaac told the guards that he had dispatched a message to us.
I think we need to double back to the inn and see if anyone left a message for
Absolutely. So we talked to Danica.
us. Or the other one.
Yeah.
Man Danica.
Danica
Danica.
man.
Danica.
Danica. I can.
Husbandica.
Husband.
Husbandica.
Husband of Danica.
This is more
Husband
evidence than
Danica.
ever that Isaac is extremely fishy.
Danica.
The Burgomaster's trying to set us up.
Could it be
Seems like to me.
just Isaac?
I don't think so. The Burgomaster wouldn't. Isaac wouldn't act without the Burgomaster's go, according
That
to
we
Lars.
know of. But
Well, either
Isaac
way,
has
we're
done
gonna have to
some-
come up with some type of defense. I've never been in a human court before.
Neither have I. There's not much in the way of court in the Underdark.
I'm gonna pop Rick,
Mhm.
keep him invisible, and just tell him to go find Hope, and have them and the others meet us at the inn.
Got it. Okay. So the three of you actually at this point would be back at the inn anyways.
Alright, cool.
We
Because
wanted to stop
Yeah,
somewhere.
there was some
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
On the way back, just kind of. Can I keep a lookout for if there's a little? I know it's a really shit town. Is there a garden or something, a nice little kind of greenery area?
there are actually, yeah. There's a few vegetable gardens. People do have to grow their own produce inside the walls.
Yeah.
So you've seen a few of those before. They're usually kind of communal gardens. As people need things, they'll come out, grab individual vegetables. There's some nice herbs there as well. What are you looking for?
Nothing in particular. I just want to be close to kind of nature,
Okay.
and I'm gonna talk to, or I'll turn to Allura and Hope and say, if you don't mind, I just want to try something out here. It'll just be a minute or two.
Do you want us to leave
I'll
you?
I'll just take a little step over near this garden and
Do you need our energy and any of this to help you?
I think I might be able to handle this one, but we'll see. Alright. But I appreciate the help. I'll let you know if anything goes weird. And I want to step towards just kind of the garden, kneel down, and cast sending
Okay.
to my granny.
Aww, you're so cute.
So alright, 25.
25.
Alright. Fuck. Alright. That doesn't count.
Fuck, that doesn't count.
All right.
Shit! Wait, no! Stop!
You take a moment
Hi,
as
Gran.
your first time really casting the spell, making sure that you know the limitations of it.
Yeah.
You've heard of stories of people casting this before and knowing that there is a limitation on this. So you're pick your words very carefully, plan out what you're going to say.
Yeah.
What would you like to say?
Granny, it's Leaf. I'm in Barovia, and I made friends. I hope you're well. I'm still searching for them. You can reply with 25 words.
Yeah. 25 words.
Alright.
And
That's cute.
there's a few beats.
Yeah.
And you kind of wait. Continue waiting. And then just kind of this is really odd. Leaf, I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you've made friends. I don't know what you mean about 25 words, but all is well. And then it cuts.
That's a third level spell.
Damn.
That was lucky. 5% chance that failed.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to be near nature. I didn't.
Yeah. Oh no, I had a D100 prepped before because after you told me you were taking it.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Oh,
And
that's 100.
I'll step back and turn to the group and say,
And you both do notice Leaf kind of just kneeling down, and you hear under his breath a few of the words that are spoken, and then just kind of the response, the wait time, and then you can see the shoulders kind of fall a little bit, and like the head kind of sag, and it seems like whatever response maybe he was hoping for didn't come, and then the ears just kind of perk.
Aw.
Yeah, I kind of put my hand like really outstretched to try and do it on his back and just be like, "It's okay, friend."
thanks, Hope. I hadn't heard from my granny in a bit, so that was a true voice. Fill her in on a few things.
Glad that worked.
Yeah, that was the first time I've done that. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, maybe I'll be able to do that a bit more. That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So at this
Yeah.
point, after that having happened and the conversation that you've happened, hope you feel the pressure on your shoulder, and then in Infernal.
Hey, Doc wants you back. Go to the inn.
Okay, Rick.
Gotcha.
And then starts
I was
flying
waiting
away.
for it.
Yeah,
Leaf,
Yeah.
where's your granny?
Let me just find that backstory. I have.
Let me just find that rich backstory.
Yeah, my granny lives in a little hut in the south. Fuck. Hold up.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I have this because I want to be the south. She lives in the southeastern section of the High Forest and on the Sword Coast. So she lives by herself. So I just figured I'd check in with her, make sure she's doing all right.
So you were able to communicate with someone in another plane?
It would seem like that, yeah.
Interesting. So she's not in Barovia.
No, she's she's where I was from.
Oh, I'm really happy you were able to contact her.
It was pretty, no, it was nice.
Rick just showed up and told me that the doctor needs to speak to us and to hurry back to the inn.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should head back. What time were we? What time is it?
At this point, it's been about another hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what time did we say we were gonna?
It was like early afternoon.
Yeah.
Early afternoon.
I
Okay.
I have some time to kill.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should go back to the inn and
Yeah.
whatever the doctor says. I'm sure it's very important.
Are we back at the inn?
You are?
Okay. Who's behind the counter?
Behind the counter right now is Danica.
Okay. Danica, were there any messages for us?
Messages? What are you? Nothing since the chest that was left
Yes, that's right.
Nothing official? No guards have been looking for us or anything like that?
The 2 guards who came several days ago when you made your adventure
With
beyond the wall. But
Okay.
outside of this, no, there has been nothing. What? Why do you ask?
We're just wanting to know about when our tribunal's going to be. We're wondering if word's been sent.
I can assure you I haven't heard anything about this. If I had heard, of course, I would have let you know.
Of course.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much,
Thank you.
Danica. Is anybody else in the tavern?
There's 2 men sitting at one of the tables. You've seen them around a couple of times. They usually come in for a midday meal.
Yeah.
Having a couple of drinks. Nothing too out of the ordinary.
Okay,
What are they eating? Bird seed?
Do they look like ravens? I'm gonna head to the back booth
Okay.
and just sit and think about what's going on here.
Okay.
I'll grab 3 glasses of wine from Danica and
Sure.
join you.
I believe
2 silver each, so 6 silver.
Sure.
I believe there is a trophy I'm supposed to pick up, or some type of badge.
Because you won the competition last night.
Yeah.
There is no badge. There is no trophy. Would you like a drink?
Is there a tab?
There is.
Let's. I've got a drink for you, and I've got the drinks in my hand. Let's go sit with the doctor.
It's not going to be as good as the free drink, and then we go.
Less.
It's free for you.
It's so free.
This doesn't taste as good as champion liquid.
I've got some champion liquid for you right here.
Oh boy.
Hi-yo! Hi-yo!
What was
Yeah, so do
You do? Where is it?
do we walk
Does it
in
taste
right
good?
when this is happening? Like, whoa.
It tastes amazing.
I can't wait.
What is happening?
I don't ship this at all.
Do you want to have a tournament round right now?
Okay.
The trident was like a Kendall.
Hey,
Never
Wingus,
mind that.
Dingus, sit down.
No. Put that away.
And on your shoulder, Rick is just dying. Because he understands common.
Mhm.
And he's just kind of... And then just like demonic speech comes out that you don't understand. But he's just dying laughing. And then you can actually feel him like fall off and you just hear a... as he hits the ground and he's just lying laughing on the ground.
Classic Rick, classic
That is
Rick.
classic, Rick.
That's a real highbrow dude.
Yeah. He appreciates that above potty level
Yeah,
humor.
exactly.
That's his level.
Yeah.
But I would really like. That's what she said, jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're his favorite.
All right, so I think we need to strategize here.
Yeah.
So at this point, you 3 have made it inside, and you see the 3 of them sitting in the back, having a midday drink, which is not uncommon, but at the same time, not the most common thing that you've seen from the party so far. So something seems a little off.
I'm gonna wave him over.
I'll stop at Danica and ask for, Danica, do you have any, like, hot tea or...
Yes, I can make some hot tea if this is what you would like.
Yeah.
Just one for yourself.
I would love to get in that hot tea.
A second, yourself.
I like good tea, that'd be great.
Very well.
Thanks, Danica.
Yeah,
It'll be well, it's 5 coppers. So we'll say 1 silver for the 3 cups.
Appreciate it.
I'll take care of that.
All right.
A bunch of alcohol to the back there.
Danica, who are... I've seen these 2 men about here before. What are their names?
These men. This is Callum, and the other one. His name always escapes me. It is Mikhail. You would need to ask him to make sure, but Callum it comes in on occasion. He usually has either a lunch or breakfast here.
Would these be the gentlemen that I recognized from the night before? Or no? No, okay, fair enough.
Are they guards? Or what kind of job?
No, they are general laborers in the town. They just appreciate my husband's cooking.
We were sorry to miss you this morning.
Yes, it was unfortunately a very busy evening last night, and I did need a little bit of extra rest.
Kind of like unsubtly, just like make eye contact with Danica.
And she's just kind of like staring back at you, and is just giving nothing back to you.
Alright, then it's gonna stop.
What's wrong with your eye, buddy?
Why are you flirting with my wife?
I will go get your drinks. Please have a seat. I will bring out the tea as soon as it is brewed.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. And she disappears into the back kitchen. So,
Stop.
Let's move on.
So what did we miss? Wow, how's Father Donovich?
We had a very interesting chat with Lars, the young fellow who was tortured at the festival.
It's not a very strong soldier.
We're being fucked.
Not in a fun way.
No.
In a bad way.
Most certainly not in a fun way.
Okay.
Our tribunal's tomorrow night.
Well, we knew it was going to be tomorrow or the day after.
We were never told.
No one.
We said somebody told us it was 3 days from whenever we were talking to them, and I don't remember who that was or when it was.
Here's the thing specifically, we were never given actual time, and Lars told us that Isaac said he had sent a messenger a few days ago, giving us a date and time for our tribunal so we had time to prepare.
We checked with Danica, no message was sent.
No.
So,
Unless one of you three got a message, it seems like we're getting the screws put to our wieners.
I smell a wet seahorse.
I too smell. Hold on. What?
You don't do
what do
that.
wet seahorses smell like? Aren't all seahorses wet? Aren't they under the sea?
Like, I don't wear them, but you know what a wet sock smells like?
No.
Yeah.
Do you not wear socks?
I wear socks, I just take them off. You know what? This isn't the point. We're being fucked.
Yes.
Oh,
This seems really puzzling.
this isn't ideal.
Boy, does it ever.
Well, I mean, clearly, at least Isaac is in on some kind of plan to make us look like the shady outsiders who are unprepared, and we would never even have known to show up wherever they're going to have the trial.
We don't even know where it's going to be.
Oh, shit.
Presumably the Burgomaster's mansion.
Presumably.
Who knows? It could be an exotic Siam for all
I
we
feel
know.
like the Burgomaster is going to use this as an example to the people as well. I don't think it's going to be at his mansion. I think it's going to be in the town square. We've walked through theirs. There is stocks, and he used that.
I mean, it's where Lars was punished.
Yeah, I very much doubt that it would be at the mansion.
Lars did say that Isaac might have sent Irina or Ismar to give us the message. Did you speak to them?
No, unfortunately not. We were told that they partook too hard in the revelry.
I mean, that
But you
works for
You
Ismar.
didn't see them, though,
No,
No, they didn't even.
so we've no way of knowing if that was true or
I
if
got
we're
a
being
bad feeling
blocked
about this.
from getting to the people who may be able to influence the situation and help us.
Yeah, they suggested that we could come by later in the afternoon and that Irina would meet with us then.
Wait a minute.
But not Ismar.
What about your
Well, we
meeting?
were asking to check in on Irina specifically.
The meeting's this evening. We have time.
Maybe your friend could help us out with this tribunal business.
Oh, I very much believe she could help us.
Now that it's tomorrow, we might want to make that a thing.
Here's
Well,
the
we
thing.
don't want to become pawns in a game between the two of them either.
You know what? I don't know that I mind that at this point. Because it might be us being put up against a wall and bled to death, so we've heard.
I'll be someone's
close
prawn
the
if I
wall.
can get out of that situation.
What kind of like a rock wall?
We don't. Look, the type of wall isn't the important thing here.
I hope it's a smooth wall. That'll
Okay.
be really good against my scale.
Lester. Thank you.
Father Petrovich is going to send a message and try to find out for us when the tribunal is, where
That's
it
good
is.
to know.
And Lars said we had a good chance of
He said.
anything with the Father on our side. Well, not a good chance, but he said that's the best.
He said it's all right. He didn't
Maybe help
say.
us.
He didn't say we had a great chance.
Who else do we know in the town that is held in high regard? Do we know anyone else that has?
No one cares.
Blinsky's a very wealthy man.
But Blinsky's also Team Burger.
well regarded. We want someone who is held in a high regard and well respected in the town. That's people of that stature. All they care about is your status and what people think about you. Those are the things that are important.
Well, perhaps not upper class, but perhaps Kai would speak up for us. Well, I mean, we've not had.
We also don't know where Kai is.
They didn't really sound like they wanted to, stepping on
Get
the line was gonna
involved.
get in our, gonna mess them up.
What about
I don't really
Danica?
blame them.
Perhaps we could ask her to say a good word for us. I mean, perhaps I know she's not a noblewoman, but she is a local innkeeper.
I would also like to make sure that we are keeping conscious of where she is and
Yeah,
if
we're
it's
not-
coming too close to us
we
to
would-
hear
Sure,
with
make
the
perception
tea.
Just like a dude right there.
13? No, 12.
12? Okay. Looking around, no one seems to be paying attention. There's just the table of two men. Danik has been in the back for a decent amount of time, but it takes a little bit to brew a good, strong brew of tea. And just kind of paying attention as you're all having the conversation. She eventually makes her way out of the back and is not making any real attempts to hide her presence at all. You know, she's used to seeing you every morning, and comes over and sets down the tray of tea with the cups and pours it out for each of you, and then makes her way back to.
Thanks, Danica.
Danica, before you go back to work, would you possibly mind putting in a good word for us if we were, I assume you've heard of our upcoming trial?
The tribunal. There has been some discussion amongst the guards that come in here, especially last night with how drunk everybody got. Unfortunately, I do not know much of a good word that I can provide you aside from the fact you are paying customers and you have stayed in my inn for several nights at this point. I'm not really sure what else I can do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Fair enough.
for your candid answer.
What about your animorph buddy that you love so much?
We can't get to our good friend Rictavio and his many wonders until we can get out of this town.
Many wonders indeed.
Is he not a respected man of the town, though?
No!
He was a traveler
He was
like
a
us.
traveler, yeah.
Rascal.
Alright, here's the Sitchkin possibles. That's my term for friends. Now,
Kin?
Got a lot of terms for
Possibles.
friend.
here's the thing. From what we learned, talking to Father Petrovich, it confirmed my suspicions about the political landscape of this town. Now, it seems like the people, they're not super fans of the Burgomaster. It seems, according to Lars, it sounds like to speak against the Burgomaster is to risk public humiliation, whipping, and then stripping of whatever titles you may own.
Yes, you're basically out of the best livelihood you can come by in this town, which is being a guard and not having very much to do.
Lars had no previous infractions until he laughed once and then was dragged behind a horse. I honestly don't think we're going to get a fair trial.
I don't think we are either. It may seem like, or it seems like there may be some kind of old grief between
The
Wachters and the
the
Burgomaster.
Lakoviches.
A couple of generations back, the Wachters were the ones who were the Burgomasters in town.
Okay.
And they lost favor from the townsfolk, and the current Burgomaster's family gained the title.
We don't truly know the landscape at the time, but we do know that the Vallakoviches took the city from the Wachters.
Okay.
I suspect, based on what we've heard around town from various cloaked figures, that perhaps the Wachters may be looking to turn the tide.
We did ask the father who would become the Burgomaster now should the current Burgomaster be unable to continue on in that role, and he said there was no one in town we could think of. So potentially the townsfolk don't see Lady Wachter or her husband or sons as their leaders.
Certainly not her sons.
Well, clearly.
I am assuming you shared all of the information from when you were at the church, or no?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because you had mentioned that perhaps one of the reasons for the festival was to help the poorer townsfolk. Would that surely not make them on the current Burgomaster's side?
You guys saw the festival as well as we did.
Yes, I mean, Father Petrovich told us that part of the festival was to help all the townsfolk, but I have to be honest, I have my doubts about that. He has quite a rosy outlook of the town and the people who are in it. I mean, we stood behind, or no, sorry, I actually can't remember who was broken this. It might have been Hope, but there were plenty of people who were contributing, and they didn't look happy about it, even knowing they were going to fill their bellies.
I think it's in the best interests of us, specifically, to potentially see what Lady Wachter is gaining at.
I think we're not going to get a fair shakedown.
And
That's
I
the
think
only path we have.
That's our only way.
If anything, we could just accelerate this coup idea.
Whoa, no one's saying nothing.
We don't say the C word
No,
in
we're
public.
not.
Yeah.
You know, we could just make that happen faster, and then in the confusion, we just get the hell out of this stupid town and go find
There
more
are-
things to kill Strahd.
There are 6 of us, and we don't truly even know who will support us. We have the
Probably no one.
father who will, give his word for us, speak on our behalf, but he's not a fighter, he's not a warrior, he's not going to assist in the way that if that's our avenue, we need assistance. I think there's a few people that we have, that have maybe indicated they might sway that way, but I don't think we need more information before we accelerate.
If it came to a 1-to-1 fight between us and the guards to get out of town, I don't think it would fall in our favor. There's too many of them.
There's one group that we could try to call upon. The Romani.
The Vistani?
The Vistani.
You figured it out.
You're picking
They're
up
not-
some of the doctor's habits, though.
There are not enough of them in town, I don't think.
None of them are in town.
No.
They
Honestly,
don't really seem like fighters.
it seemed like from that conversation we overheard that the Walkers have some sort of plan, or at least Lady Fiona does. Bows on rooftops and such.
It behooves us to find out exactly what it is and how we fit into it.
I think it will be wise for us to attend this dinner, but I think we should definitely be on
Those-
edge.
Were not those. They were guards, weren't they? I think that there was. I think that conversation was about the people during the festival.
No,
there was bows.
There was one thing I didn't share about the letter that I sent. I name dropped one of them, Lucian, and that got us the invitation.
Okay.
You name drop Lucian.
One of the people that was speaking at the table
Okay.
took a risk, dropped a name, and it seems to have worked.
Interesting.
Why are you only sharing this information now, Doctor?
Because I had to know we'd get a meeting.
But we could have been privy to attempting to get a meeting.
I didn't think the trial would sway in our favor from the beginning. I don't think this town wants us. I don't think this town likes us.
The land doesn't want us.
Yes,
Except for a certain one person.
but we could well sway that in our favor. And the strength of a town may help us in our quest to get out of here.
It's true, and while we may move forward into our next location to look for all these clues for how to defeat Strahd, it would still be good for us not to have townsfolk or a town full of people who are wishing us ill.
I didn't
That's
share
not-
this because it didn't feel like it was an important detail at the time.
Well, I think at this point, most details are important.
Absolutely they are, that's why I'm sharing them.
Yes. And I think moving forward, as a team and as a group and as a group of companions who are trying to do the same thing and all trying to escape this place, I don't think that we should have secrets like that potentially could end badly for any of us.
Well, I agree, but I don't think it's too severe. The doctor is telling us now before we have to interact with the Lady Wachter.
No one got hurt.
I think.
Oh, my feelings are a little hurt. You didn't tell me, but I forgive you.
Thank you, Lee.
I think we need to be aware in case anything untoward happens at Lady Wachter's, and I think we should not make any decisions hastily.
No.
And it should all be, everyone should be.
Yes, after we leave, we'll find a consensus. We won't make any decisions, barring, of course, some kind of situation where she says she needs us to make a decision now or we're out. In that case, we may have to make a snap judgment. But I agree, it should be a group decision. This is a very serious matter.
Now, if it comes to that, if it does, because if she's planning some level of interaction, shall we say, citywide, she may not want us to wander freely with this information if she doesn't trust us. I I honestly believe she's our best shot getting out of here without A, dying, B, being thrown in some measure of awful jail, or C, being not permitted to return to this town that we might get supplies from.
Banishment is an option. Lars told us that.
I want to know her opinion of Isaac and whether she'd want to continue working closely with him.
I'm very
as the
interested in him.
Burgomaster does.
I'm curious about that myself.
Very strange.
Yes, well, we had said we would be meeting with Irina this afternoon, so I think, what time was the dinner invite for?
Around 7 or 8, I don't know.
What time are we to arrive?
She
We
said
are a
evening.
secret.
You know that from the general term of evening refers to dusk, when the sun begins to set.
Okay. So we have time to go see if we are actually allowed to interact with Irina and what she might have to say.
And perhaps then Ismark will also be available and we'll find out whether they had a message to give us, or perhaps also kind of find out what their opinions are of Isaac.
If they can be open. I mean, I don't distrust Ismark and Irina, but I do distrust our footing in this town and what people be willing to say to us and how they're both grateful to us and they've both been honourable, but when people's livelihoods and their lifestyles are threatened, they do things that they wouldn't normally do.
I agree.
And Irina and Ismark are both young, they both just lost a parent, and they're both looking for a place in the world. And if they're convinced in some way that it's at the Burgomaster's map in this town it's much safer than Barovia was, well, I can't say that I would necessarily. I'm just saying we should keep an eye on what their eyes and their bodies tell us as well as their mouths.
In truth, we've been paid by them. They have no loyalty to us, and we do.
Exactly. Super armed service. But that's not to say that
I know your feelings.
I look concerningly over
Irina
at them.
are a thing, and certainly I don't mean to bring them to any measure of blows, but we need to worry about getting out of here.
We're just in a very uncertain footing right now. We don't have very many solid facts about what's happening in this town, and that's what we need to find. We're working with a lot of unknown variables at the moment.
And not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time
Let's
at all.
just take it one step at a time and take this meeting and see what happens.
And at some point, should we have, we should have to go through this tribunal, we need a defense. We need to talk about what we're going to say in front of the court.
Do you think that in this land they have someone who speaks as a representative?
A lawyer? If only my brother. Lawyer. Shenanigans.
Lawyer shenanigans?
Sawyer shenanigans.
Sawyer shenanigans.
Oh my god.
Is this
Well,
canon? Like,
Turn back up, guys.
I've kind of been taking stock of the
Earth, I think.
He's the bard.
the points that we have in our favor. I still have a big spawn bite on my neck that has not healed over.
It's begun to heal over.
It was like 2 days ago. You said it took like more than a week.
Yeah, it was 3.5 days ago that it happened.
Been a while.
There's 3 of us, so I have bites.
Yeah.
So does
But the
the
father
last
I
has
episode.
got
them as
like
well.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty,
Yeah.
pretty sure I was like dead.
But they may well say that
They're all
just happened
tree
before we
injuries.
got here.
The father can attest to
Yeah.
the injuries right after.
Yeah, I have, the father will speak on our behalf. We've returned the bones to the church. All of this is hearsay. They're going to say it's all hearsay. We did kill the spawn that were in the house.
They don't
We've-
believe it was there.
Right, but we did save the town from that. The other thing was, will the father bring the Milovich, the young boy who to attest to the fact that he sold those bones to
That may be something we
the
have
coffin
to.
maker.
He'd risk that boy getting whipped.
And plus, the boy had not confessed to the father, and we did not tell the father that the boy had given them.
Right. Well, those are the things that I've been pondering in preparation to the potential tribunal.
We potentially have to ask the boy whether he'd be willing to do that, and whether he'd be willing to kind of confess to his sin in order to
This may sound lightly out of character, but I'm not willing to let a 10-year-old boy get whipped potentially to death and stripped of anything that he has. He's got a family.
He's got a family.
I'm not willing to
The
let that.
only other things really that are in our favor is that we were sorry, generous donators to yes, just my voice break.
Yep.
No big
Both has a head cold.
It's the opposite of the standard cold. Instead of your voice getting more gravelly, it gets higher.
Yeah. So we gave generously at the festival.
We did.
We partook. We made some friends of sorts. Like we partook and we were seemed to be kind of good people. We donated the gift which you lit up, which they seemed to very much appreciate.
We participated with honor in the local games contests. But
Debatably.
But so did everyone else.
so did everyone else. I
It's
mean,
true.
It
ultimately,
shows that we were trying to be good citizens of the town.
something Lars told us was that if we wanted to gain good reputation in the town, we could donate anything that we weren't using in terms of gear or weapons to the guard.
I don't want to harm anybody who might be turning them on us.
I mean, they're already armed. We may as well try
If
to.
they're not armed well.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, that is the thought. We could perhaps kind of we could maybe be honest about what we've done and that yes, we did commit this crime, but there was good reason, and to as penance, we are willing to pay a fine and we are willing to donate weapons.
I don't know if we say that because
Boy, I
I
am
don't
not
think we
willing to
have
do that.
enough.
We'd have to give up that
we've
shiny
not
new
done anything
shield.
wrong. It wasn't a crime.
I think we tell the truth, and if our truth doesn't hold up to theirs, if they twist it, then I don't want to spend any time here.
I don't know that we're going to make it to this tribunal if this all comes to play.
We should still have it figured out.
We should.
Prepared for it.
Agree.
But I don't know that we should be willing to give up anything that will help us in a fight to get out of here.
Well, I have a couple of
Few people pass by the window in front of the tavern.
Hey, I'm not giving up my 10-foot pole. I'm saying that right now.
We do need that. It's very
It's
important.
my
Is there
favorite.
anything else we need from this town, though? Like for our overall
There is
goals?
a store that sells things. There is Carl.
Carl's pretty cool.
It's one of the few places that we've seen that's free of Strahd influence.
But as far
It's
as
the
it's
biggest point of trade.
I think we need
It's
to
not
keep
a big
access
point
here.
of trade, but it is. We've been told
Well,
the
Well,
biggest.
maybe we can stay with the Vistani. They said they live nearby.
We could, but
We have to
We
come
have to
back
get
there.
out.
we have
Well,
to
they
get
don't
out.
need in the future. We're not allowed back, you know. It seemed pretty nice.
I take my
But they'd be like us.
shoes
They're
out
not
in the
allowed in.
wild.
It'd be useful to visit the lake with the two hunters again. Well, not that we've done it with them already, but they did suggest they would take us out to the lake. That would be
I think that there's a lot in this place that we will
This is,
likely need to make use of.
this is also the only town we've been in. What if there are other towns we don't know? None of us have ever been here before.
I'm looking at the map right now.
Yeah, we have the map up.
Boy, it's not looking good for us if we decide to burn bridges here.
Well, I think we plan on not doing
I
that.
think we already heard
so-
something, so see what we can do.
Allegedly.
I'm gonna go back to like our second episode.
Yeah.
There was the alternate spot that you could have taken Irina to. Does anyone remember that?
It was the Abbey of Marco, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's also an abbey. That's
Yeah.
not a
Yeah, we can't do
I
like.
will say the one guy's
Major
been very
trade.
nice to us. Was from
Oh yeah. It was just because the crates had burnt
Yeah.
and it smelled like burning crates.
I don't think Father Petrovich is going to. He knows that we're
You have
fighting.
to like angle it. You have to like. Yeah. There you go.
There we
Thank
go.
you. It's a little finicky. That was finicky. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We know that Father Petrovich is on our side, but we also know that he only accounts for one person.
And he's a rather optimistic old man.
Very. Lars was much more honest about what we can expect.
He was.
I say we see what this person has to say at this meeting tonight.
Go from
And
there.
make an informed decision from there.
I see Bismarck and Irina have any information for us.
Yes.
Very well.
Well, it's been like the allotted amount of time.
It's been 3 hours when we were talking.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've gone back in, you've finished your tea. Your tea has gone pretty cold by this point. Drinks are emptied. Danica is milling around. The two men who were inside finished up their plates and they've left them on the table, and she's begun to clear all the dishes away. For those of you who wanted to go see Irina, it's been roughly that amount of time by the time you would get back there to be able to see her. For the rest of you, it's up to you if you'd like to join or if there's something else you'd like to do in the meantime. It's not too far from here. It's essentially due south from the inn.
Sorry, could we continue on to the Walkers from their place? Or
The Walkers is on the opposite side. So the Burgomaster's mansion is on the south side up against the wall, a fairly large mansion. The Walkers are on the northeastern side, and they've again got a fairly large gate. You've seen it in your travels to and from the north side of the city, but it is substantially in more disrepair than on the Burgomaster's side.
Cool. I'm gonna pop upstairs and change into the fine set of clothes I have.
Sure.
Okay. So, who else wants to come visit Irina and his mom? Or should it just be the original group that went back this morning? Or unless would you like to come and talk, or would you like to just kind of prepare for this evening's meeting or do whatever else?
I'll stay here and prepare. Come meet me back at the inn once we're ready to head over there.
I do think that they were less on edge, the guards at the door, when there were less of us. They were still a little bit on edge, but not as aggressively as the time we all went to the mansion. So I think possibly the three of us again.
Well, I've forgotten, but I'd like to pick something up from the chart and grab a new flask for my water. Or a new water skin.
That's not ready for 5 to 7 days.
3 days. Huh?
Almost a week, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it is.
I checked that yesterday as well. I was like, I want to go get because I got stuff too.
I went for 3 days.
Too ahead.
Never mind.
I've completely forgot. I had something else to say that.
We'll figure it out on the way there.
So, 3 original people heading back. Okay. So making your way south, it's not too far a walk, 10-15 minutes or so. You're back at the edge of the gates. The same 2 guards are standing there. And one from before just, hail. You've returned, I assume, to speak to Lady Irina?
Yeah.
Yes.
She is up and around at this moment. All 3 of you coming in, or?
So,
Yes.
All right. You will be under escort. Right. Follow me. And he gestures to the other guard to come with him, and they kind of wait a second, and then you can see them kind of flag down 3 others that are patrolling around the southwestern side, and then get 2 of them to come over and cover the main gate at this point. The 2 of them flank you as you make your way up the long, winding road up to the center of the house. Again, the very ornate doors, and the 3 sharp raps against the door, and then the familiar figure for you of the older gentleman just comes to the door.
yes, Lady Allura, it is so good to see you. Who have you brought with you today? Oh, my name's Leaf. It's nice to meet you, and I'll hold out my hand.
Leaf.
Yeah.
Just Leaf.
Yeah, that's my name.
Right. And you?
My name is Hope. Like Cher or Madonna, but genderless.
Just Hope.
Yes.
Are you just... No, you are Vallaki. Yes. Well, I suppose this will be entirely new. Please, enter. Don't get any mud on anything, if you please.
Have you got a welcome mat for us to wipe our feet upon?
Well, if you look down, you will see one at your feet.
I'll wipe my boots
Yeah.
on the, what is it, like home is
No, it's a fairly large, kind of thatched, dark brown and tan mat. No insignia of any kind. Essentially, just more for functional use than any real elegance. But making our way inside, Allura, you've seen this now a few times, so it's not too much of a grandiose thing to you, but for the two of you especially, this is a very, very fine interior. You've got large flanking marble staircases up either side, a large central door, double door with stained glass windows that you can pass through to kind of go into a further main chamber. Those are currently closed. The marble staircases flank up to either side, and then hallways exit down those each side as well. It's very, very reminiscent of a fantastic, almost in your cases, fantasy style mansion.
Is there any decoration on the walls?
There are a series of tapestries, a few of them depicting, now you know Lord Vargas and his wife, what they look like. So you've got tapestries depicting them. You've got a fairly large one of a boy that you haven't seen before, a younger man, who's kind of wrestling a large cat. And it definitely appears to be some kind of a piece where, emasculating or making more masculine the boy than he actually really would be. Other than that, a series of very interesting vases and then fresh flowers. Still wilting a little bit, but the freshest that you've seen since entering into Barovia.
Cool. Yeah. This is the nicest place I've ever been.
Yes, I have no doubt of that, Mr. Leaf. Here to see Lady Irina is my understanding.
Yes. And if possible,
hopefully Ishmark.
Ismark, yes, of course. I believe they're both upstairs in their rooms, so they will be accessible to you. Would you like me to show you up the stairs, or do you remember where to go?
I know where.
Very well. I will allow you to continue on your way. If there is anything you will require, please just ask for.
Potentially. Sorry, I just.
The dribbles.
LaCroix yourself.
Yes, I did LaCroix myself.
Nobody else wants one?
No, I'm.
That's okay.
Last time the Danica's husband at the inn is quite the cook, but I have much missed the meals that I had here. I was wondering, last time the kitchen packed up some dinners for us. Could we potentially have some?
Well, we've finished serving lunch at this point, but if you were around for dinner this evening, I'm sure that would be able to be
Hey,
arranged.
you got lunch last time?
No.
Dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Last time.
fuck
No,
yeah.
I shared it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Forgot.
We know.
Okay.
Yes, so are
Sorry,
the
I
guards
forgot.
still accompanying us?
The guards have left you at this point. They accompanied you up to the main entrance.
Oh, okay.
And now inside you see that there are some guards stationed here. These ones actually appear, you didn't notice them last time. It appears there's some kind of additional presence that's been made and put in place now. These ones are more armored, properly armored. Actual weapons, long swords at their waists, and then also carrying spears.
Do we recognize any of these?
You don't.
I was gonna say, can I just make like a perception or insight check to see if they're aggressive towards it? Like, if we
Sure,
can
make an insight check.
Yeah.
Do we hear piano music?
So it's an 8.
It's an 8?
Yeah.
They don't appear to be too aggressive towards you. Very similar to everybody else. They are definitely standing at more of a proper attention. The other guards that you've seen, general milling about, kind of slouched off to the side, arms resting on things. These ones are straight backed, shoulders back, spears at the side, and helmets in front of them. In your case, the piano music is still a constant bit of a thrum.
Pretty cool.
Okay.
Some nice music.
It is a slightly different tune, so not the same as it was before, but it is still definitely there.
Is that the entertainer? Cool. Do you want to go up to?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just this way.
Would you like to read us the lyric?
So you make your way up the right-hand staircase up to the top, and eventually the walkway cuts off to the right. There are a series of doors on the left and right. 2 of them are currently ajar, and then the further ones at the end of the hall appear to be closed. And the ones that are ajar, the one on the right you know to be Irina's, and the one on the left you know to be Ismark's.
But you said they were doors, not jars.
When is a door not a door? When it's a jar.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't.
Waka waka.
Alright, so who would you like to see first?
Hope. So this is Irina's room and this is Ismark's
Laura,
room.
we can go talk to Ismark if you'd like.
Sure.
Yes. I will go sleep with Irina.
Yeah, you will.
But before I leave you two, do you know what else is what these other doors lead to, Allura? Or did you perhaps were offered one of these rooms?
No, I stayed with Irina. So none of the other rooms I know what they are. How many other doors were there?
On further beyond the 2 doors that they're in, there's 3 more. 2 more on the right, 1 on the left.
Can I go and listen
Sure.
at at the doors?
Yeah, which one?
Well, the first one.
On the right or left?
Right.
Okay. Make a perception check.
I give.
Ooh.
21.
Yeah.
Pressing your ear up to the door, kind of looking through. You do notice that there are strike plates on the door. It looks like there may be keys that would allow the door to be locked from the other side, from the inside. Similar to the room that you slept in with Irina, just being able to lock the door and prevent anybody else from being able to just interrupt you. The doors are currently locked. Listening at the door and kind of peeking underneath the small amount of crack, there does appear to be no light in there and no sound coming from the other side.
And the one directly across from that one?
Yeah, another perception check.
22.
22. Same thing.
And the other one's at the very far end of the hall?
Yeah.
Is it would it be awkward if somebody walked up and saw me at that door? It's farther enough away.
It's far enough away that if somebody were to make their way to the top of the staircase that you just climbed up and look down, that you would have definitely purposely made your way down there.
Okay. Can you guys just make sure that no one's coming up here?
Sure.
Okay. And I'll go and listen at that door too.
Sure, go for it.
18.
18? Nice. Very similar. Nothing appears to be different about this one. The door itself appears to be slightly more ornate. There's no standard door markings like you've seen on the other ones, just regular style doors. This one has got some kind of faded frosted glass on it, some slight decoration on there. Maybe a nicer room on the other side, you would imagine, but doesn't appear to be any noise coming from the other side at least.
Leaf, I understand this is quite early in the day, but can you tell where this music's coming from?
Yeah, I can make. I'll make an initial perception check just to see if I can hear if
Sure.
there's a specific
Perception check.
Sick. Let's see, 12.
12. It's coming from all around you.
Yeah, okay.
It appears to almost be echoing off of the walls and almost being amplified by the walls slightly, as if it's almost maybe even coming out of the walls. Yeah. You're not sure.
Oh, okay. I think it sounds like it's coming from everywhere. They got a heck of acoustics in here. Are you worried about it, Hope? I can...
I am slightly concerned by it.
Okay.
Because is it hiding conversations or is it hiding some other sounds being made?
Oh, I'll be able to...
Oh no, I did not.
Do you want the music to be louder? Or...
I can, I can tell you if it's magical or something, but I can't really tell
In the wing with the brother and stepsister.
No, that's not what I mean. I actually did not
Hope
mean it in a
streams are
dirty
down.
way for once.
You got a nerd in mind.
You got a pretty man now.
Thank you, I do.
So,
I don't have lips.
you two kind of making your way back, and Allura, you slipping by the slightly ajar doors, make your way to the far end. Don't hear anything, and eventually make your way back. Whose door would you like to knock on or go into first?
You want to go talk to Ismark?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
do that.
before I turn to Ismark, I'll sort of... His door. I'll rest a large hand on Hope's shoulder and say, Hope, you got this. Just tell Irina, I feel a letter should help, and I will also cast guidance.
Okay.
Help them on a 1 ability check.
So if you make an ability check within the next minute, and I'll roughly be checking that, you'll add an additional d4 to whatever that check is.
Where's my check?
Ability check. Yeah. So persuasion, deception.
Performance.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Sleight of hand.
one
I don't know.
performance check.
Athletics.
Oh my.
Athletics, acrobatics.
Whoa!
Investigation.
Survival? I don't know. And hopefully not medicine. You got this.
Oh my god.
Oh, we're so sorry, guys.
I'll never
sorry,
apologize.
never sorry.
Yeah. If thank you, Leaf. If before we do leave, if you can try and figure out whether this music is magical, that would be.
Sure. It's so
Oh wait, no, it is magical. It's designed. You know, was it me that was
I think
familiar
you were
with it, or was it the
familiar
doctor?
okay.
Yeah, no, it's.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, get in there. This doesn't last too long.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's magical. Don't worry about it.
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, so who are we starting with?
Yeah, I think it's got
Okay.
to go.
Yeah.
So, opening the door, you see Irina is very comfortable. She's wearing just kind of the equivalent of royal sweatpants.
Oh. Here
I have royal sweatpants.
And is just in a very large, oversized white shirt and just kind of loose hair and clothes everywhere. This is definitely a side of her that you haven't seen before, with the tousled mousy hair, complete lack of any kind of care put into her face, or all the things scattered around the room and all of her clothes strewn everywhere. This is far more of a relaxed person in comparison to the one that you've seen over the last week. And you haven't really seen this side. The only pieces that you've seen have really been that very put together, proper, even if it's on the military almost side, those are really the only sides to it you've seen, so whatever you take from that.
It's Pumpkin Spice Latte Arena.
Basic PSL.
I like going out but staying in.
You got the empty Starbucks cups in the corner.
Yeah, right? Like,
yeah.
She's got her Uggs,
Couple
she's
of-
ready to go down and
She's
get...
got the thigh-high Uggs.
Oh my god.
Just gotta slip out of my Birkenstocks into these.
Yeah. So making her way
How dare
inside, she hears the door opening and then just kind of turns around and sees you standing and just, oh my god, it's so good to see you, and just runs over and just gives you a big hug. Because it's been quite a few days now since you've really seen each other.
Oh,
Sleight
right,
of hand.
Oh my god, no!
No, my innocent ears.
Yes, my blushing cheeks.
My horny horns.
Irina, it feels like it's been too long.
It has been several days at this point. How have you been? It's been very relaxing since getting here. I have to admit. I do apologize for the mess. I don't really care.
Do not worry about it. You look great. You look very at ease.
I am for what is quite possibly the first time in my adult life. It's very nice to just relax and not have to worry about anything.
Yes.
What brings you here today?
We just came to kind of check up on both you and your brother. Allura and Leaf are talking with Ismark now.
Oh, well, he's been gorging himself a little bit and enjoying the finer things of life that we haven't had a chance to really take part in back when we were living in Barovia, of course. I mean, food was scarce, drink even more scarce than that. Prices on it were ridiculous, even we could barely afford. So having it all be provided for us as part of this is a very, very welcome change.
Do you find that living here is helping you both?
I believe it's helping us come to terms with everything that's happened and give us a little bit of a chance at what could be a better life.
Have you spent much time with the Burgomaster?
We've had a few dinners with him, not many, or meals I should say, one dinner. But he's a very odd man, very strict, very
Does he seem like a
disciplined.
good man?
It depends on your definition of good.
Do you feel comfortable speaking openly about this here? You can just make a gesture if you prefer. Would you perhaps like to talk about this at the inn?
you could come visit if you so desire.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'm sure that I could arrange that.
It would be good to see you in a space where you can truly be yourself.
Well, the
And yes.
the funny thing here is I don't really know who myself is much anymore. My whole life I've been struggling, fighting against the influence of Strahd, and for the first time ever I'm in a village where there is none of that. At least not as far as we can see, and all the festivals celebrate the fact that he's not around, and there is no oppression, there is food, there is drink, there are actual people walking the streets, not just these lifeless husks like we've seen before. It's very different, and I believe Ismark and myself are beginning to come to terms with that fact that this may be where we spend the rest of our lives. This is what we were hoping our village would be able to become, and it just got worse and worse.
I'm glad that you are feeling this way. Can I ask what your thoughts are on Isaac? Have you spent much time with him? Or is this another conversation for another time?
Isaac is someone that I haven't spoken to myself. I don't know if my brother has had many conversations with him either. My understanding of the man is he is the right hand of the Burgomaster. He does what is asked of him. He does it efficiently, expediently, and as a result he is given good standing within the city. Outside of that, there is really not much that I can add.
Did you hear about our tribunal coming up?
I have heard a few things. Obviously, you are expected to prepare some kind of a defense. We, of course, know what kind of people you are. I'm sure Ismark and myself will be able to vouch for the amazing work that you did, being able to get us out of Barovia and keep us alive through the woods. Outside of that, it's been a little bit beyond my ears. I will be honest, I am, of course, worried and wanting to make sure that only the best happens to all of you, but at the same time it is a chance for all of us to create our own lives, and I also understand, of course, given the fact that you are not from Barovia, this isn't somewhere that I would imagine you would actually want to call home. I would imagine you would want to get back to your lives, to your families.
Yes, although I feel like I'm starting to create a new family here. I'm hesitant to bring this up, but I did find out some more about the doll that we found at Blinsky's.
And you can see that she just kind of shudders a little bit at the memory of that doll.
If you'd rather me not share this information, I understand, and I'm sorry to be bringing it up.
I may as well know. What is it? What did you find out?
I believe it was commissioned by Isaac.
Isaac? But I've never met the man before. How would he make a doll that even looked vaguely like me?
That is the part that I'm hoping to find out. I think you should make sure you are careful here, or try and keep yourself safe, and know that we are near if you need us.
All right. I appreciate this. It's good to know, but I'll be honest and say I'm not quite sure what I can do with this. I mean, we are guests in the Burgomaster's mansion. I would hate to do anything that would either cause myself or my brother or both of us to be removed from this and forced to.
I completely understand. There was one other thing. I have wrote you a letter.
I love that.
Yes. I wasn't sure when I'd next be able to see you, and I'm not sure quite how to put things into words sometimes, so I wrote them down.
All right. Do you have it on you?
I do.
Would you like me to read it now, or should I wait? For later?
Yes, you may read it now.
Alright. You send it to me?
So what are we like? Are we in Isaac's room? Are we pressed up against the lamp? Who's going?
Yeah, because had I actually sent you the letter yet?
You sent me the letter.
Yeah.
Aww.
You wanna...
Okay, I'm gonna send it to you now, Jordy.
Yep.
What's going on?
I mean, I would have probably known you wanted to stay at the door,
So
and I would be like
reception.
leaning, being like, "Are we gonna?"
I'll
not
get you to make a deception and you to make an insight check.
Sorry, me to make a deception.
Deception.
Oh, God, that's
No, you got that.
deception. That's a 6.
I got a 7.
Okay. Not the most subtle of people. Leaf is just kind of, alright, you go talk to Ismark. I'm just really out of breath from climbing those stairs. Just presses his ear up against the door.
Can I make a perception?
Yeah, make a perception check, both of you.
Alright.
We'll see how much of this you can pick up.
Oh, I'm not actively listening. I'm just like not.
You're not doing your lean and listen?
No, I'm doing the lean across, and I'm just like supporting Leaf being there listening by not.
I got 10.
10? Okay.
I like the other one. The heart.
What?
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Cool.
Sorry, my mind went dirty on the first line.
I know.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, none of you know.
Yeah, the only person who's read it is...
It's a good one.
See if I make Jordy blush. How successful was your one?
And she just kind of holds up the letter and just kind of reads through it, and you can see a slight smile, and then just a look at you, and then a look back at the letter, and then continue to read it. And then she just folds the letter. I appreciate this. I really do. However, I'm sorry if you felt this as something more.
Stab.
You are a very special person, and there is no doubt in my mind that there is someone for you. However, there is a complete divide between us, between our lives, between who we are, between what we've been through, and between what we want. I am very happy in this life. I'm very happy to just continue doing what I've been doing. I have no wishes to leave Barovia. It is my home. It is where I was born. It was where I have been raised. I am in a position now that is comfortable. I know that you and your allies, your companions, want to eventually go home. And that is not a journey that I can make with you. And it would not be fair of you, of me, to ask that of you.
Can I insight check?
Yeah, go for it. What are you?
You don't believe it!
What are you insight checking? Do you not believe it?
Fucking tease. Playing hard to get.
Fucking horn
Yeah,
tease.
fucking tease.
Horn
No.
tease.
Well,
So
I believe no means no.
Yeah.
First off.
you believe no means no.
Horn.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's important.
Consent is sexy. Just throw
Sure
it out there.
is.
Yep.
But I want to check to see if, like, she's saying that for the sake of saying it, kind of thing,
Mhm.
or if that is genuinely how she feels.
Okay. Go make your insight check.
Big roll.
Fuck.
No.
Yeah, it's
Do they have advantage?
No.
The heart wants what it wants.
That's a 12.
It's a 12. Okay. based on the demeanor, based on the very happy expression to see you, and then the excitement that you've seen with her in the room, and then reading the letter and going from very happy to the sagging shoulders to the realization of something that she didn't pick up on originally, and the realization that there is definitely one-sided feelings here in that regard.
Okay. Thank you for speaking so.
I do hope we can stay friends.
The worst.
Can I persuade?
Fucking dirty. Oh, wait, no, you had
The guidance thing, and that would
Way
Yeah,
more
I
than
got
that.
real excited there, I'm
I
sorry.
know. I was
Yeah.
thinking that.
Fucking
model.
I literally couldn't even say those words without smiling. I'm like, oh,
I
you
know.
fucking bitch. But no, I really do hope that if you are in the area and maybe want to just stop in and say hello, I will always be around. But I am sorry, I do not feel the same.
I appreciate you speaking so honestly.
It isn't fair to dangle someone, keep them on the hook, as it were. And I apologize if that's what you felt like. I never meant for that to be my intention. I just very, very much appreciated everything that you were doing, trying to get me out. And looking back now, I can see that may have been misconstrued, and I'm so sorry for that.
That is okay. I understand. If you, my offer is still, if you ever need me or you need protection, you know where to.
Of course. Of course.
I will perhaps now join my group in speaking with you.
Yes, I should probably clean my room. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And she just kind of takes a step back.
Don't trust her.
So, making your way out of the room, and she pulls the door closed behind you as you leave.
We just like.
I just kind of go like.
So, I'll get you to just make a perception check.
Yeah, this is gonna be if we just fall into the door.
I'll get you to make one as well, because you're not actively listening, but it's just what you notice.
Okay.
No.
I got 15.
So you're actively not listening. Got it.
Yeah, no, that
15?
was an 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I was expecting you to read it out loud. So.
No. It's up to you if you would want to, but as of
We'll
right
post it
now,
on the
that was a
chat.
message that she knows. She didn't read it out loud. So,
Yeah.
it's up to you if you'd like to share it after.
So.
15, yeah.
15. You would have heard the initial conversation.
Yeah.
Hope going in the room, the discussions about how messy the room is and how much nicer it is, and then Hope offering the letter, and then things would have gotten a little bit too quiet. The voice is getting dimmed, and it's just the mumbles up against the door. Nothing that you would have really been able to pick up on until you started to hear the footsteps
Okay,
towards
cool,
the door,
yeah.
at which point you very
Yeah,
quickly
back.
back yourself away.
Yeah. It's gonna try to like lean, like.
Do the allure lean.
Yeah.
Go make a just dex check for
Yeah.
me. Straight dex.
Sick. 5.
5. Perfect. So Allura is doing the lean, as she is akin to do. And you just kind of go up beside her and like, I can do that. And you like lean against the wall and that works. And you like, you've also seen her do the thing where she kicks a foot out and lands
Yeah.
it beside the other foot. And you kick your foot out and land it beside, but you accidentally catch the front of your foot
Yeah.
and kind of topple forward a little bit.
Yeah.
And you eventually just hear a woof, and Leaf has just gone into like a military-style cross-legged push-up in the middle of the hallway as you open the door outside of Irina's room, and then just kind of quickly push yourself back up and. Oh,
We're just cross-training.
Ismark didn't answer. I think he had too much to drink.
Yeah.
last night.
So, you don't have to say anything right now. We can talk later. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd rather speak about this later, but
Can I make an insight check to see if I can kind of get an idea what's going on?
I'll let you do that, yeah.
Anyone else?
Do I I need to roll against? I know.
Because this, you're not trying to deceive.
Yeah.
persuade or anything. 19. What's yours?
8.
8. You don't get anything. Hope looks a little sad, maybe. Kind of tough to tell. You're not sure. Emotions are hard. More in tune with your emotions and more in tune with the time that you and Hope have spent together. You get a pretty good idea, and especially having read the letter, you've got a pretty good idea of what happened.
Okay. Yeah. We can just keep it here, so, you know. Take your time.
Yeah, we might. I might need some more braid time.
Yeah,
later.
okay, no, that's understandable.
I understand, Allura, that you don't have hair to braid, but you could partake. I can teach you how to braid, so if you want to braid Leaf's hair.
Yeah, I got it. You can do one
I'll
side
try
and do the other one.
it. I can braid. I just don't have any hair to braid.
Yeah.
I got hair everywhere. It's crazy, actually. Leg hair, arm hair.
Should
What
we
about
try
on your giant
Ismark's
cock?
again? And
What's that?
should we try at Ismark's door again, or would you like to try at his door again?
I think
With him?
we could maybe, if we got a dinner to make.
Yeah.
Because I did ask Irina some questions, and it didn't provide us with the answers that I'd hoped for. But perhaps Ismark might be able to illuminate them further.
Maybe today just isn't our day, or.
It's up to you guys.
I'm okay to.
I have a feeling we won't get much answers just by way of answers at
I
all
don't
from
think this
Ismark
mark is
today.
good.
Ismark.
Is Mark.
I'll be honest, I'm
Like
getting
Like
like.
Bismarck, but Ismark.
No, it's just, is Mark okay? Is
Oh,
Mark
is
okay?
Mark okay?
I'm getting a little.
Oh, now I got that.
I'll be honest, I'm getting a little nervous for this dinner, so
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanna.
I think we shouldn't say those words in this house.
For dinner at the Blue Water.
At the end? Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Let's maybe head back.
Yeah.
And
I don't know,
now,
secret nut rolls.
And yeah, I will let you. When we are together as a group, I will let you know some of the things that I found out.
Okay.
sounds good.
So,
Yeah.
making your way back down to the front.
I kind of like. Are you not wanting to look around the mansion further, or are you just wanting to
Look around, rogue.
I mean, I'm happy.
Robes when they see a whole mansion. How much of this can I steal?
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
Put that out holy right now.
Yeah. Just put the whole mansion in.
One pane of glass at a time.
I'm happy to push towards the dinner, but that's.
But yeah, I'm.
Yeah, I don't think snooping around right now is the best time to do that.
Okay.
Oh, the tribunal tomorrow?
Yeah.
Sure. Go
No.
for it. Alrighty, so making your way downstairs. The manservant is waiting at the foot of the stairs, just waiting away from you and just kind of.
Oh, yes, everything is complete upstairs, I assume.
Complete?
Your discussions with
Yes.
them, hence why you've come back
Yes.
downstairs.
We have completed our
sense of humor.
tasks.
Glad to hear it. Is there anything else that I can do for you in the mansion today?
There is
Maybe,
nothing else we
I think we're
require.
heading out.
Thank you.
Perfect. So then, if you please.
And he just gestures towards the door, and the two guards come in and open the doors for you. And there are still the same two guards who escorted you up to the front gates. They're now waiting outside the front doors, and again escort you back down the path, and eventually back onto the main road. Okay. Alrighty. For the rest of you, what is it that you wanted to do?
I had a thought. How far off is Blinsky's?
Blinsky's is not too far. Where the Blue Water Inn is,
Yeah.
the Burgomaster's mansion is about here.
Yeah.
Blinsky's is about here.
Okay.
So about the same distance.
So I can make it to Blinsky's just to like talk to him like while they're
Yeah, if you'd like to.
Yeah, I'd like to. You know, I'm gonna get changed, of course, but I'd like to pop over to Blinsky's and.
Sure.
And,
So you make your way in. There's less toys that are on display now. You would imagine quite a few of them were probably sold the previous day or donated to the festival itself. But Blinsky, you can hear some creaks and groans of metal and wood in the back shop, and the jangling of the door opening, and eventually he just comes along. Yes, what can I do for you, my friend? It's so good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Miss. I just wanted to say thank you so much for your fine work on that piece I commissioned of you here.
Oh, it was my pleasure, absolute pleasure. I assume it went over very well at the festival.
It certainly seems it did. I wanted to ask you, you know, I mean, we've been having a couple issues in the town.
Yes, you do seem to be having a fair share of troubles.
It's some troubles. Have you heard anything about our tribunal?
I have not. I am not interested in any of this law-making, practicing piece. I am simply a man trying to make my way in the world and doing quite good at that.
I understand all. How was the festival for you, Mr. Linsky?
It was quite fantastic. A few pieces sold, managed to make a bit of extra coin, and then of course my donations were seen very favorably by the Burgomaster and his wife.
Of course. Mister, we've been wandering the town for a little bit. You know, it occurs to me, I don't know very much about the Wachters. Do you know anything about them?
They are spied upon us.
Oh, really?
Yes, a black mark upon the village of Vallaki.
What happened? Do you mind my sharing?
Tell me how you really feel.
The Burgomaster, the Vallaki family, took over from the Wachters 50 years ago or so, when I was just a twinkle in my father's eye.
Of course.
But everything that I had heard before then was that they had just made this place a complete shithole. Everything about it just was not for the good of the people. It was only for the benefit of their own pockets, keeping all of them well fed while the people starved. Of course, these are stories, but
no, of course,
stories carry weights. Perception. Right. As for now, Lady Wachter does not leave her ridiculous mansion on the north end of town. She sends out people to do her bidding, and apparently just enjoys the fruits of our labor. One of the few people as well who did not come to the festival yesterday, and this was definitely noticed by the Burgomaster, although she has not come to any of the festivals since he started.
You and the Burgomaster are rather close?
He is a trusted friend. We shall leave it at this.
Good to know. Thank you.
Is there anything else? Would you like to purchase one of my remaining toys?
What do you have? Let's take a look.
Well, I have well, actually, it's the same ones that you've seen before. All of my newer pieces, unfortunately, have already been sold off. But if you're interested, this is my leftover stock. Would be.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for your fine work.
Oh, of course, it is the least that I can do. If there is anything else I can do for you, please just let me know.
Of course.
Very well. And then you would duck back into the back, and you start hearing the clanking of metal on metal again. Yep.
Head back. I got my ideas now.
To the end. Okay. So, we'll fast track this to the dinner.
Yes.
Alrighty. So.
Okay. Can I have caught up?
Yeah, we'll
everyone
have
with
shared.
like the fact that Irina was not told by Isaac, and that the Burgomaster is odd and strict.
And he's not a good dude, it sounds like.
Yeah.
According to old Irina.
And that she wouldn't talk about him openly.
And same
What she
with
really
Isaac.
Yeah.
So before we go into the dinner, if it's all right, I would like to handle a fair bit of the talking, as I was the one who put the letter out.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. By all means, interject, but let's see where this goes.
Yeah, I think I would like to just mostly listen and kind of see if there's anything else to know about, or see if there are like glances.
Yeah.
Of course.
And let's all be on the same page. We're going in, we're very interested in what she has to say, but we're not making any snap decisions about what's going to happen. And we've heard conflicting things about both the Burgomaster and Lady Wachter. So I'm not saying that, but we just need to examine our options.
I would like to put forth that the information I received from Mr. Linsky was on account of the Burgomaster's best friend forever, Mr.
Absolutely. However, let's look at her slogans.
Yeah, but they're kind of dopes. They're going to be dopes either way.
Well,
They're just a couple of rich idiots.
they are a couple of rich idiots
That she raised.
that she raised. Anyway,
We'll see.
we'll take it as it comes, but we're
That we will.
going in as a team.
Alrighty.
Les, how are you feeling going into this?
I feel fine.
You gonna be chill?
Okay.
You gonna be chill, buddy?
Can you make sure you follow our lead and
Oh, yes, of course.
support us in the tone of the interaction?
I will be as quiet as a cat.
Okay.
I am familiar with that one.
Okay. Thank you for working with the team.
are a save in a family, and I will do whatever I can to support everyone's fine decision-making skills, just like my own.
All out.
Okay.
That's as good as it's gonna
I
get.
think so. I think that is.
Alrighty. As the day wears on, all of you preparing yourselves, getting into any garb that you would like. What is it that everybody's wearing this evening?
I'm in my fine clothes.
Fine clothes? Or?
And my clothes still.
Did we go and pick up our like leather?
I thought you did, didn't you?
So this is all still the same day.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Same day.
Yeah. 2 sessions on one day.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So,
Oh, day.
yeah. So, are you getting dressed up at all?
I'll be in my fine clothes,
Your
but
fine
my just my fine clothes.
Okay.
No armor.
Own any fine clothes.
Are you wearing your armor to dinner?
Should I? Please do not wear your armor.
Don't. No, we don't want.
But then I'd just be bare-chested.
You have the cloak that you can wear. You still have the cloak that is fitted.
Hey, what's up, lady?
Oh my God.
You're lovely scales on your chest.
You haven't seen gills.
They're awful shiny. So what kind of like the cloak that I have?
So the cloak that you have is a full-length cloak. It goes down to just shy of your ankles. And you would be able to wear that as just a regular garment to cover yourself if you wanted to. It could be taken off. The interesting thing really with Tritons is that clothing is not really that much of a thing. At best, you would be maybe wearing like the brown pants that go underneath your leggings as part of your armor,
I don't
your leg
know.
plates. Well, you have to, because otherwise it's metal on your bare Atlantean skin, and chafing is
Rusted like dice.
chafing is a bitch.
No, I get it. Yeah, sure. And it's just kind of like the cloak is kind of like open.
Yeah. You bare chested because for you, like a bare chest is normal. You wearing a bare chest is kind of similar to most people wearing some kind of clothing, anyways.
Yeah.
That's not that different. Okay. Legal.
Yeah, I'll be out of my armor and I'll just kind of fussed over, like, I think I really own, like, one or, like, a shirt, so I'll just try and make that look nice, and I'll...
Yeah, you kind of smooth out a couple of
Yeah,
wrinkles
exactly.
and a
I'm
little
pretty
bit
sure
of
it's all, like,
seam.
patched and, like, darned together anyway, so I'm just trying to make it look nice.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, I'll ask Hope, and I'll learn to upgrade my gear.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I had any clothes other than my armor.
Everybody has traveling clothes. That's
Yeah,
just
like-
standard garb. It's up to you if you purchased fine clothes or if you got them from your background.
Oh, my dreads are like up in a ponytail.
Got it. So you would be able to just wear your traveling clothes with your cloak over top if you'd like.
Yeah. Are you sure we can't wear armor?
I would recommend we not.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
This is a nice dinner at a nice place.
Then I will wear my traveler's clothes
Okay.
with my cloak.
Elite?
Can I at least keep like the kind of top plate thing on? Or would that still
It's
look
up to you.
impressive?
I mean, I think we should go in.
We should show that we trust them.
We should go in showing we trust them.
Okay.
Hopefully that will show us then that they can trust us.
Can I carry my sword?
I can't imagine why you couldn't wear it at your hip.
Okay.
We'd have to give it up, though, if they're not comfortable. You'd be cool with that.
I suppose. I'd rather have something.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the mithril again? Ah,
That's just like...
Yeah, isn't that armor? Wouldn't that just look like a shirt?
It's a chain shirt.
Is there any chance we could be dumping all this into the bag of holding that you have?
We could absolutely be doing
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's be doing that.
Okay.
that. I don't see an issue with that.
Could I wear my shell shield on my back as like an ornament?
Alright, Kuba Trooper.
Couldn't really sit
That
Teach me
was
again,
perfect.
turtles.
I'm sorry, are you here to
Yeah,
kidnap
I mean-
the princess?
Theoretically,
Get out of here,
you could,
Raphael.
but
It's like a part of my like
Yeah.
Triton tradition of like going out.
this is the thing: is you can do whatever you want. It's up to you and the party if you all decide that that's accessible.
Plus, I don't get out a lot, but that looks like shit.
You
look
got
like
like
a turtle.
giant leather straps across your chest with this ill-fitting,
Pinky.
too small shield for your back. Like your shoulders poke out the sides of it slightly.
You
Like
got a
it might
choker
work
that's
if
his
it was
daddy.
like a kid's shield kind of thing.
All right, if it looks too awkward, then take it out.
Okay, it's up to you guys. So.
Well, if we're taking the bag of holding, then that can hold my mastiff.
Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, I took off my armor, but I'm keeping my cloak. Brush a bit of the mud off the edges. Take my hair down. It's quite long, but normally I braid it back. I'm trying to make it look nice, brush the burrs out.
Okay.
But I'll keep
With
my...
the braiding party happening, they kind of invite you in with an actual comb and just kind of comb your hair out a little. And a couple of the split ends and the knots are really getting torn through. But, yeah, it's the... Oh.
Yeah, basically Princess Diaries.
Exactly.
Breaking the brush.
That's happened to me. I've broken numerous brushes.
Oh, I have too. I understand.
Yeah. I was gonna say I'm gonna keep my bow and my short swords on me though.
Okay, on your back.
On my back, sort of disguised with my cloak.
Okay.
And the cloak's kind of fancy.
Longbow is the height of you, so it's about the best you can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, longbows are massive.
They're big.
Yeah. If it's an English longbow, it's actually 2.5 feet taller than you are.
Oh, I did not realize.
Alrighty, so
That's cool.
with the party eventually making your way into the slightly setting sun.
Can we be stealthy walking there?
If you'd like to.
Actually, yeah, that's probably
Okay.
Can we help the rest of the party stealth, maybe?
Yeah. Can I see if, can we just look if there's like ravens tailing us at all?
Tailing you?
Or just like following us on the, or like are they around as we're going?
Watching.
Sure. Go ahead and make a
Ever
perception check.
watching.
9.
9. It's tough to tell. With the setting sun, the black bodies against the sky, little
I got
gray
dark
clouds. It's tough.
I have dark vision.
Well, I'd say we should all stealth just to make sure we aren't like being followed or seen.
Oh, and I will roll with disadvantage for once.
Yeah.
Because I'm out of my armor.
Exactly. All of you are out of your armor.
Go!
Yeah.
So you do not have to roll disadvantage for stealth. Go ahead and roll stealth check, everybody, please. First roll of the night for most of you.
Yeah, actually is.
RP sessions, guys. I love
Fuck me
it.
if that changed anything.
Fuck.
Oh!
Yeah. Oh.
How did the rain roll?
Wait.
I'm pretty,
Oh, yeah, that's
mine's
a
pretty
D20.
bad as
Holy
well.
shit, we're loud.
Yeah, mine's
Okay.
a
23?
23. Less.
11.
11.
19.
19.
4.
4.
6.
6.
Oh!
7.
Well, I guess we're going to dinner.
Whatever, we're big!
Allura being used to being stealthy, and the doctor blending in relatively well around the surroundings, knowing kind of how to interact. The rest of you are... You've already been sore thumbs in the town.
I'm used to being
Right.
stealthy. I just fucking tripped over myself.
Yeah, yours essentially is like in brushing off the dirt on your cloak, it actually also undid some of the wrinkles of the cloak, and you're just kind of stepping on the fringes of it, and eventually you just fall face first into the... There's no mud, thankfully, but it's a little bit chalky dust, and now you're leaving like a trail of chalky dust as you're walking,
I'm pigpenning.
pushing it off yourself. So you make your way there, not exactly stealthily. People are noticing that you're walking, but it's also during the time of day when not a lot of people are out and about anyways.
Yeah.
So for the most part, you're tending to just kind of subvert the guards as best you can.
Nice night
That's
we're
so
having.
friendly.
Right. Perfect.
So, as you approach the estate of Lord and Lady Wachter on the northeast end of town, the road continues up a small set of iron gates rusted on their hinges, with the sun just beginning to dip behind the mountains on the other side of the estate. Making your way through the gates and up to the entranceway, you notice from a distance that the house seems almost disgusted with itself. A slouching black roof hangs heavy over furrowed gables, with moss-covered walls sagging and bulging under the weight of the rotting vegetation. Looking on as you get closer, Leaf, you catch faint groans that seem to almost be coming from the house itself, as if it somehow is expressing displeasure with what it's become over the years.
This is not a good space. I don't know about the energy of this place, but let's go. But be warned, y'all, there's some weird juju around here.
So, making your way up the entranceway, you eventually come to a very large set of wooden double doors that have seen better days. Paint is stripping. There are slight markings of where maybe pieces have hit against them or just not really well maintained.
This is not
No
what I
guards, no
expected.
anything?
No guards, no anything.
Dinner.
Okay. I'm going to knock.
Okay, so loud knock on the door. A few seconds pass, and then eventually the door creaks open, and you can hear a little bit of struggle on the other side, almost like the door is caught on something, and then a loud as it gets pulled across the door and eventually opened. And you notice the same human male as at the festival opens the door, but in comparison to the dark red hood pulled up over his head that you saw yesterday, you see him instead dressed smartly in a fitted black shirt and pants, unsurprisingly lacking the typical wear and tear that you've seen with the rest of the people of Vallaki.
Or the house would lead me to expect, maybe.
Exactly. Looking him over, you'd guess him to be in his late 30s, almost military-style cropped brown hair, and a few small scars on the hands similar to those received by people adept at wielding blades over the years. Stepping inside, the front door opens into a narrow vestibule with a large stained glass window depicting the rising of an entity from the ground, set in a wooden frame in front of you. Some kind of a large dog, almost.
An entity.
Leading towards the interior, through that, a large staircase leads 15 feet up, and a pair of similar stained glass windows set in wooden doors flank it on either side. The man stands at the base of the stairs, gesturing to his right, your left, and opening the door to reveal a large dining hall with a fully set 10-person table in a room that's easily 70 feet long. The ornate table stretches out almost the entire length of the room, with a mostly lit crystal chandelier hanging above it almost incuriously. The silverware is tarnished slightly, not quite shining as bright as it once probably did. And looking at the plates, most appear to have very minor chips or cracks, yet all are still quite elegant. 8 chairs, 4 on each side, surround the table, their cushions dark red and backs adorned with sculpted elk horns, while 2 more are placed, one on each end of the long table. These, in comparison, are carved of a nearly black wood, with similar horns at the edges of the chairs, but the horns are jet black and much thicker and tapered than their counterparts.
Are there any portraits around, like
Come to that.
Okay.
Arched windows made of latticework of iron and glass look out onto the small fog-swept estate, which you realize was mirrored glass from the outside, as you were unable to see through it on your walk up to the entrance. To your right, 3 elegant couches surround an oval table made entirely of black glass. All are set in front of a blazing hearth, above which hangs the portrait of a smirking nobleman, sporting a broken nose and a tangle of hair graying at the temples. Several smaller portraits adorn the wall on the far side of the room, each depicting a single figure. An older woman, 2 of each of young men, and then both vaguely familiar, and then clearly sons of whatever man was up top. And the last one is of a beautiful young woman. The last image, however, is in some form of disrepair, hanging askew, stained, fraying in places, in stark comparison to the other 4 portraits, which are all clearly well taken care of. Seated on one of the couches in the parlor is a human woman in her late 50s. Somewhat crimson hair, a gaunt but still sturdy frame for someone of her age, slightly further aged but near perfect match to the older woman in one of the portraits behind her. She is dressed in a fairly simple red gown, wearing an ornate, slim shoulder piece of dark gold metal. Oh my god, my eyes are going. To your eyes, worn more than for fashion, that are as a symbol of status than of actual function. At her neck, you see a silver chain clasped with a links descending beneath her mantle and into her gown. At the sound of the footsteps, she stands up from her couch, revealing her height to be almost 6 feet, far taller than most human women you've seen in Barovia thus far.
Ladies, gentlemen, please, come have a seat. A drink, perhaps? It will be something that I'm sure that you'll appreciate in this evening.
Absolutely.
I go and take a very, very proper bow. Like a very proper bow.
I'm behind the last thing. Chris, you didn't put on underwear for this.
My gender, or is that bad?
I kind of say quietly.
As you do that, she snaps her fingers and 2 robed figures enter the room from behind her, their heads obscured, with one carrying a tray of fine wine glasses, and the other a large decanter of red wine and a carafe of clear water. They hurry over to you, offering the glassware, and you notice similar chips in the glass, despite each still being dazzlingly clean, sparkling in the firelight as though they are filled with your chosen drink.
I do apologize, my dear husband isn't feeling the best this evening, so he won't be joining us for dinner. But I do promise to send him your best. Now, please have a seat, and let me know what I can do for you.
I have a quick question before we start. Out of game, obviously.
Of course.
The portrait of the young woman. What
Yes.
does she look like?
She is probably in her late teens. Fairly dark brown hair, similar, you would imagine, to what Lady Wachter's hair looked like when she was younger. Somewhat fair skinned. It's a little bit tough to tell between the stains and the fraying bits on the portrait. Dressed in a fairly simple white and gray gown, and she is smiling, similar to the rest of the other people.
Does it look like it could be Lady Wachter when she was younger, or does it look like somebody else?
Make an intelligence check.
That's not my best, but alrighty.
And just general intelligence.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're so
Can I
smart.
See,
I'm wise, I'm not smart.
Does the person in the portrait look similar to Irina or the Irina doll?
Make an insight
I was
check.
wondering
Or
too.
intelligence, I should say. What'd you roll, sorry?
I rolled 4.
4? Okay. It's tough to say. It's possible.
12.
At least humans
12?
look the same.
Definitely doesn't look like Irina.
Okay.
Yeah, that much you can tell.
Yeah.
My Lady Wachter, thank you for your hospitality.
Yes, of course, it is the least that I can do for you this evening. After your message from your smelly little friend.
My associate, yes.
Yes.
Your associate.
May we sit?
Please, of course, sit, you have your drinks. Dinner will be a few minutes away if there is anything you would like to discuss beforehand.
Yeah. Oh, please,
I do just want to mention not all of our guests, not all of our party are ladies and gentlemen. So we do have one of our guests is a non-binary, non-conforming person.
Oh, I do apologize, I did not realize.
Yes, that's okay.
My Lady Wachter, we are new in this city. Your husband, he's not feeling well, you said.
No, unfortunately, he has, I believe, come down with some kind of a sickness after the rainfall that was a few days ago.
I'm so sorry. Would you like me to... I'm a doctor. Would you like me to maybe take a look at him?
Not to worry, I promise. The best physicians have already looked at him. He will be well taken care of, and I'm sure he'll be back on his feet within a few days.
Of course.
So knowing this, can I be insight checking it?
What are you insight checking? Is she lying?
Yeah.
Or
Is
is the guy really like?
Yeah, is she lying? Like, is this guy... Yeah, is she lying?
Is she
Is he
lying?
just avoiding us?
Roll an insight check.
Nah, it's like a 10.
10? Tough to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough to read.
My lady, we've heard of some rumblings in the town about the Burgomaster. We know that there's some animosity between your houses.
Animosity is putting things very lightly, I guarantee you. The Burgomaster is a blight upon this town, and one that I would very much like to see removed.
What has he done? We've only heard very whispers of what's happened here.
My husband's father
Yes.
was the Burgomaster of this town some 50, 60 years ago. We were living in a time of true prosperity, and this family, this Vallakovich swine, managed to convince the town that he could do better. And faith was lost in us, and we attempted to regain control, and were unsuccessful. They have removed the power that our family once held, essentially banished us to this decrepit corner of the village, and we have been trying to just keep ourselves in a comfortable place ever since.
Yes, we met your sons at the tavern.
Yes, my sons, they do enjoy drinking my fortune. My husband's fortune, I should say.
We noticed. The portraits on the wall, I couldn't help but notice a young lady.
Ah, yes.
If you wouldn't mind my asking.
Yes, we must take that down at some point. Poor girl was driven mad by the Burgomaster's son. Demented man. She was quite a promising young woman. Very capable in the arts.
The Burgomaster's son drove her mad.
She lost it all when her sanity went after he just treated her so poorly. She passed away not long after, unable to feed or take care of herself.
I want to inside check and see if I believe that.
Go for it.
Like, can I
Yeah,
assist?
go for it. You can either assist or you can roll your own. Up to you.
I have.
I got 7.
So the Burgomaster's son drove
Plus
Fiona
2.
Wachter's daughter
So
mad?
should we just?
Yeah,
You
let's
don't know if it's her daughter.
Is this the 13-year-old kid?
Late teen.
Oh, that was cocked. Still, yeah.
She's talking about the
Okay,
current
I'll take
Burgomaster's son?
Current Burgomaster's son, who you know to be 13.
I got a 19.
19?
It's all in.
Sorry?
It's all in. I got a 14.
19?
Whispers,
No,
whispers.
no whispers. Maybe whispers. We'll find out.
Okay.
Whispers.
Oh yeah, there are definitive whispers.
Take the lapel off.
So the 13-year-old child.
Girl-driven mad.
That's the way that
Sorry,
it sounded.
I did mean to say, I apologize. The woman in the picture is early teens, not late teens.
Okay.
So it would be about the same.
Okay, but like, still that's not enough time for a portrait to get decrepit and...
Yeah. Because how the boys, the Wachter boys, how they're like
The Burgomaster's son is only
mid-20s,
13, and the Wachter boys are like mid-20s. We have to find out if she's talking about the like current Burgomaster's son, because I feel like she could be talking about like the previous Burgomaster's
Yeah,
son.
like
which would be the Burgomaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like what happened was they like she got into trouble or something, you know, like there was some kind of scandal.
Yeah, like pregnancy.
To figure out more scandal clues, follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook.
Okay, so
All that Dicecream Sandwich.
on all of them.
Oh no!
So,
What are we doing for dinner tonight?
Waffles. In the morning, I'm making waffles.
Yeah.
Actually, Jesse made
I'm
waffles.
making waffles.
Jesse made
Can't wait to
waffles.
make him.
My Lady Wachter, I'm very sorry to hear. If it's of any help or condolence, where we're from, where I'm from, I was well known as not only a doctor of the body, but of the mind. And should madness, say, inflict someone, I could certainly do my best to try and assist.
But I am sorry, unfortunately, that you were not here when something could be done. It is a shame to look back on what could have been.
My lady, we overheard some men at the tavern when we were here first. The gentleman I mentioned, Lucian, he said something about, well, it didn't sound like people were particularly pleased with the Burgomaster. That's partially why we're here.
Lucien is a fine man,
Yes.
one that I have dealt with for many years. I have no doubt that you come here under the best intentions,
Absolutely.
and if those intentions are true, and we are aligned, I believe there may be a way for us to help each other.
I'm certain as somebody connected in the community, you may have an idea of who we already are.
I have my ways of finding out information. I do know that there is a tribunal for all of you coming up. I believe it is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
We've learned.
So you were not made aware.
No, we were not.
That piece of shit, Isaac.
Can I, sorry, before you continue on, can I check when you say that you have your ways? Can I, is that meaning the ravens? I don't know
There
how I
isn't
checked
really a
that.
way for you to know that based on what she said. There are a lot of things. I'll let you make a general intelligence check.
Yeah. I rolled a 2, so
It was a tough day, Hope.
Okay. Yeah, there's really no way to know that. The language is vague enough that it could be ravens, it could be people, it could be herself just walking around. You really don't know.
Can do I get the sense that we're being watched by more than just Fiona? Do I get the sense, and her, like, manservant person?
So her manservant is still in the room, he's inside, you can see him. There are the two men who were in the robes that are pulled up over their heads as well. Go and make a perception check.
Oh. That's a 7?
Yeah. 4 people in the room.
Okay.
My Lady Wachter, as you know, our goals may well be aligned, and we'd like to hear what you have in mind.
Well, the biggest issue in this town, of course, is the Burgomaster. But you cannot simply remove a man from power such as this. You have to have the people lose their confidence in him. You must remove the thing that keeps him informed. Isaac.
Do you know much of Isaac?
An interesting man. Has his ways of finding out information. Has his ways of keeping an eye on the town without having to do it himself. And is far more involved in the Burgomaster's affairs than most would believe.
We think he may be connected to, how do the people of this town call him? The devil?
Leaf, make an insight check.
You just tossed on that leaf. Leaf!
19.
Okay.
Yes. That's first.
Maybe I should ask to use the bathroom and then go look around a little bit.
Now you see it happen to my house.
No. I just want you to tell us about it.
God damn it.
Cool. Cool story.
Good story, bro. Thanks for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
I'm gonna go ask to use the
It's take a
bathroom.
little while for us to
Yeah.
remember to do.
Maybe let's not do that. Maybe you're not very stealthy.
Yes. So, sorry, what was the question again?
What was I saying? Isaac.
It is connection to the devil.
Yes, we believe that Isaac may have a connection to, as the people of this town call him, the devil.
Rest assured, you are reading far too much into this. Isaac would have no chance of any kind of interaction with this man.
I'm gonna insight check that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
For what?
probably-
There's like insight back and forth, like I don't know why.
I don't necessarily, well, I think,
Just say I don't trust her.
I think there might be more to this than she's saying.
She's
saying
that
that
she
trust
is
her.
connected to Strahd.
No, I trust
Can
her.
check
I think
that?
I trust her more than I trust everybody else in this fucking
So-
town at this point.
That, no. Because it's, again, not specific enough. Just general mistrust is not enough.
I would say, because she said that
I
Isaac
thought
would have
we'd
an
be-
But he
extra.
has to go to the
I would
bathroom
like
just
to
let
insight
it go.
check.
It's a company.
It just picks up the I'm watching the best movie ever.
Like that, like Samuel Jackson in a movie theater, like.
I think she may know more about Isaac than she lets on.
More about Isaac than she does. Okay, roll an insight check.
Okay. Can I check to see whether?
No, I trust her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 4.
It's not so much that you trust her; it's that she's really tough to read.
More so when she was like that the devil wouldn't kind of be with that man.
Mhm.
Does that mean that she would be kind of more inclined, or that like is she more high level to speak with?
Or like, did you speak about the devil with respect? Like, oh.
Yeah, like does she speak it in a way where she's fearful of him, or kind of like admiring?
Okay. Make an insight check.
Everyone's just sitting there.
That's a 19.
19. Okay.
You're not getting up to whisper, so I'm guessing it's like.
With that specifically, it's tough to get a beat on. There's definitely you're noticing that the one thing that really stands out in comparison is that everyone else that you've spoken to, for the vast majority, have referred to Strahd as the devil. She has referred to him as that end. That's the only thing that you really get out of that.
Okay, I'm pushing on this.
I have one quickly.
Please.
Did I believe her when she said that the girl was dead? We would have had to come.
Insight check.
That's gonna be 15.
15? Yeah. Based on how long the portrait has been up there, the disrepair that it's having, it would make sense for her to be dead, and she's referring in the past tense.
Okay.
Can I make a perception check to see if dinner's coming anytime soon?
You can. Roll perception for your nose.
When you roll high and you float in because you smell the pie trail.
This porky pig just floating through the air.
There he goes. Sweet, very well.
17.
You do hear from beyond the far side of the room, opposite of where you are right now, kind of continuing on to the other end of where that dining table is, that there are the clanging of metal utensils on pots, that there is the sizzling of meats, and there is a nice pleasant odor that's beginning to waft in that's, for you, a little bit stronger than this, the scent of the fire and of the wine.
We haven't eaten anything in like a week.
Yeah, we have.
Breakfast.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you've been at the inn all afternoon, so you had lunch too.
Yes.
So, continuing
Oh,
on.
you're reading on the lazy fish.
I've just been drinking all the time.
So, where are we taking this conversation?
Yeah.
Sexual hangover.
Okay, fuck it. I'm just gonna do the thing because why the hell not? We're already
Okay.
setting this town on fire necessarily. Milady, we are very interested to hear what you have to say. As you know, we are travelers. We are not from here, and we would like to escape the grasp of Strahd.
All right. How do you plan to do this?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is we need to be able to... Yes, thank you. We need to be able to deal with the tribunal that we're facing.
The tribunal will be put on hold or cancelled entirely if the right hand of the Burgomaster is removed. You do this, you delay any kind of judgment made upon you.
And you said something about winning the people.
The people see themselves requiring someone to tell them what to do. That has always been the case. The demonstration that my man told me happened yesterday, with that young boy laughing.
Lars, yes.
Yes. The fact that nobody stepped in to prevent this shows their fear of the current administration. This is something that will change.
Can I see if I can do a spell, but secretly?
What are the components?
Depends on what the components are.
It's verbal tonight, so you'll be like...
You'll be talking while making hand movements. Sitting on a couch in front of her in full firelight. So, you can try, but...
I dropped something.
Just whilst like the doctor's been speaking, can I perhaps try quietly?
There's 3 couches that are all facing each other in a U shape in front of a fireplace.
Yeah.
You
That's
can
not the
try,
only thing to...
I
but
wouldn't suggest it necessarily.
The percentage of you succeeding is very low.
Especially because... the
740,000 to 1!
What if I were to kind of
She'll know, I think.
This is the thing, is it's your call.
Yeah, that one's
You just know that you are seated on a couch in front of firelight, holding drinks,
I don't think if it is.
and the components of the spell you know would require you to be speaking and to be making hand motions in the air.
Hope you gotta have cool make shadow puppets right now.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Okay.
What do you feel would be supposing someone were to do what? How do you feel would be the best way to remove someone that was so unsavory from this town?
Well, I'm sure people in your position are not unfamiliar with disappearances of people simply abandoning their posts and never being found.
Interesting.
Other than this, of course, if you have a better idea, I am very much open to this. Some sort of public disgrace, I'm sure, would be entirely possible. A sordid affair, perhaps.
Interesting. Does Isaac have any family, friends that live in the town with him? Is it just him?
To my understanding, he keeps to himself. His closest family, if you can call it that, would be the Burgomaster and his wife, and their wretched son.
The son, he's 13, you said?
I believe
He's young.
They pretend him to be younger than he is. He's actually 16. He looks young for his age. Everyone in the town believes that he is younger, but he has been being groomed. I have been around long enough to know when he was born and that he was kept behind closed doors for the first few years of his life.
Interesting.
Give me an insight check.
Ooh, not 20.
Yeah.
Plus 5, 25.
25. Seems to be being pretty honest.
If only that could have happened earlier.
Yeah. Based on everything that you've seen, like this is a revelation that all of you just kind of eyebrows up at what?
Yeah.
And that the realization really that none of you have ever seen the sun. You've heard that he's 13. You've seen portraits of him that he's young. And the portraits of him are as a young man, 11, 12, maybe 13.
No, but I think we should find out.
Can we actually as well, can I check to see like how old the painting is of the young woman?
Sure, make a perception check.
Come on, you gave me a 24. That's a 14.
14. It's tough to tell. Probably at least a couple of years. All of the paintings really, unless just based solely on the level of fraying and the bleaching from the light, it's probably been a good couple of years. So whatever young teen appears in these pictures,
When you say a couple of years,
yeah,
that's 2?
2 to 3 years.
Okay.
My lady, if it's not too painful, may I ask, what happened with your daughter and the Burgomaster's son?
My daughter, what is it you're talking about?
Well, the young woman.
Forgive me, this is not my daughter.
My apologies.
It is a painful story. The horrid man drove her to insanity. I do not know the exact details of it. My husband would be better informed of this, but at the moment, unfortunately, it is something that
Indisposed, of course.
that I would need to ask him and find out. She's not attributed to me in some way. He's from another woman.
I understand. Of course.
But it is a painful memory for him. It It is not something that would receive an easy answer.
No, of course.
Now, I believe dinner is going to be served in a few minutes. Perhaps we should make our way over to the table.
Absolutely. Is there a restroom where I might freshen up?
Of course, just on the far side there. And she gestures to the side of the paintings. There appears to be some kind of a small powder room.
Perfect. I'm going to pop off to the powder room.
I gotta go bleed I gotta go to the bathroom.
While I'm at it, I'd like to take a closer look at the paintings and see if I can't discern any age or detail of them.
Okay, I'll let you make a perception check for that one.
Oh boy. That is a 9.
It's tough to tell age just from looking at them. The general idea that you would get is the painting that's done of her is of more smooth skin, definitely, you know, not accenting the older features that she has, but is probably at least a year or two, maybe more years old. Even with all of the niceties that are done in a portrait, there are several slight changes to her facial structure that are not apparent in those.
What of her husband?
Of her husband, good. So for that one, you've been sitting in front of it for long enough. It's very regal. It's different from the other ones in that this appears to be of a not much younger man than she is right now, but definitely a few years younger. You would imagine he's probably younger than her. Similar mentality of a man even of that age would probably have wrinkles of some kind. None of those are displayed on the portrait. It appears to be in very good condition, as if it's kept very well. So maybe a year, 2 years at best, you're not sure.
And the boys and the girl?
Similar, about the same. The girl one is very difficult to tell between the bleaching and the fraying and the general wear that's on the piece. It could be anywhere between 6 months and just, actively destroyed to 5 years.
Yeah, it's not been kept well.
It hasn't been kept well, but there's no real way of knowing how old it is. All of them are done in a similar style. You would imagine maybe done around the same time. There's no way to pin it down completely.
Anything cool in the powder room?
Yeah, in the powder room, nothing of any real interest. Any kind of ornamentation, aside from just fairly generic wallpaper, is completely removed. There's just a small bar of soap. There's a small toilet, and then a basin of cool water.
Vents or anything?
Nothing.
Yeah. I want to follow him to the bathroom as well.
Nice.
And yeah.
It's a bit tight for two.
Oh yeah, no, I'll
Wait patiently.
Waiting outside?
I'll patiently, but when I'm there, like if I'm just waiting, I want to pop detect magic and just take a scan around and see if anything pings.
Okay. What are the requirements? Is it for
actually, yeah, that's a good. I probably shouldn't start just talking. Well, actually, if I'm away from the.
Well, she's still in the room, right?
She's still in the room. There's still the two.
There's also the guys watching us.
The two guys in the hoods, and there's the manservant.
Yeah, so no, it is verbal somatic. So if I can't get anywhere by myself, then
So you would be able to wait outside the bathroom
Yeah.
for the doctor to emerge.
Okay.
Go into the bathroom, close the door, and you could cast it inside.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Okay.
And then pop back out.
Sure. So you've got a 10-minute time.
Yeah.
On that, you would wash your hands up, come outside. Looking around the room, immediately, nothing appears to be magical. None of the doors. Looking at the two men who were standing before you, neither of them magical in any way. Looking at the manservant, nothing magical there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna move back into the. I'll move back into the dining room area. And just see if there's anything specifically. Actually, I'm curious with Lady Wachter. I know we don't really have a lot of stuff on us. So.
Her mantle begins to glow.
Her what?
Her mantle. The metal piece across her,
Can I see what?
the dark gold. It is evocation magic. But everything else in the room, nothing pings, no magical essences to the chandeliers, none of the doors, any of the plates, chairs,
What
nothing.
else to the paintings either?
Not to the paintings, no.
Much appreciated.
Good to know.
Okay. So, sitting down to dinner, the two servants who were off to the side with the drinks, they have now put those onto the table and have disappeared into the back room where you heard those pots and pans and assorted utensils clanging, and eventually come out carrying 2 plates at a time. This gorgeous, very nicely prepared green string bean, long lamb shank, and then this very dark red sauce that's been poured over it. You've got grilled mushrooms and then assorted pieces of bread and potatoes that are offered onto the table as well. Those are all placed in front of you, irrespective of if you're vegetarian or not. They're all offered the same meal.
Do I notice if anything is raw?
If anything is raw, it is definitively all cooked. Allergic to cooked lamb. So
I just look at it and do a...
You looking at it and kind of like, oh, I wish this was raw. Oh, the smell is intoxicating. It is incredibly delicious with spices and with proper seasoning and the slow roast on everything. Even for you who much prefers the raw side, you can expect that there would at least be some aspect of flavor. Even if the meat isn't to your liking, the flavor of the sauce would probably be something that would be worth it. So, plates are put in front of you.
I mean, hey, I still
You still have it active.
Anything looking magical in my mashed potatoes.
Nothing appears to be... They're fingerling potatoes,
Nothing
actually.
magical except the fact that they're potatoes.
They're fingerling
Taste
potatoes.
magical.
Fingerling potatoes.
It can still be poison.
Magically delicious.
Well, I'm tucking in.
So the plates are all placed in front of you. The last plate would be placed in front of Lady Wachter, and then just kind of nodding to each of you in turn, and then picking up her knife and fork and beginning to tuck into the meat and the veg.
Yeah, can I just say that I've not been drinking. Like, I'm not much of a drinker anyhow, but I've not drank any of the wine thus far, and I waited until she's.
Well, there was wine or water offered.
Okay.
Were you drinking either of them?
No, I think I would have eaten like.
Okay.
But I'm waiting until she's digging into her food before eating as well.
Good to know.
And I'm going to kind of like eat maybe the potatoes first, the salad, and like really drop the part when I gotta get to the cooked meat. But I will eat it be
So you
respectful.
like
but
the
just,
sauce off the meats before you
yeah,
actually tuck into it? Yeah.
just like a 5-year-old picking around his vegetables, but except it's the meat
You have
that
to-
I'm picking around.
Let's eat that.
The reverse of every 5-year-old ever.
The reverse of Kevin.
That's true. Meat.
Oh, vegetables.
Hey, I've been doing well with my vegetables.
Milady, will your sons be joining us for dinner?
No, my sons do not typically come back to the house for dinner. They instead prefer to drink their dinner.
Of course. We see them at the inn rather frequently there.
Yes, they do like to frequent that place.
That they do.
I dealt with the West End mom before I got
I don't
How did you know about a beeline going across here?
That's a North End issue, alright? I care strongly about
West End stuff.
Well, no, I mean, it goes for North End.
Okay.
So I care about that.
Other people we should trust.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that's a smart call. My Lady Wachter. We are rather amenable to your proposition, I believe. Is there anyone else in the village that we can trust with this, that we can trust in our goals?
Well, who have you spoken to thus far?
We've spoken to... I spoke to Gadolf Blinsky. He was not a fan.
He would not be.
No, I didn't assume he would be. Father Petrovich seemed pretty chill.
A man of the cloth. Not exactly the best when looking to make a drastic change.
No, of course, he was rather optimistic about our chances. I assume you are more realistic than he.
Realistic is a good way of putting it. anything is possible, especially with people of your distinctions.
Beyond that, we've done business with Carl up in the north of town, but we haven't spoken to him about any intrigues.
He's an interesting man. Very secretive of his ways. I have no doubt that the Burgomaster is aware of such a person existing, as I am, but continues to allow trade and assorted interactions, as he has not done anything to upset the current balance.
We had heard the Burgomaster was confiscating weapons from people.
All weapons from those not authorized by him to have them. Why do you think any kind of uprising has not taken place as it did before?
Of course. Beyond that, we haven't spoken to too many other people.
Yevgeny and Zolvar.
Yes.
Hunters who aided us in the forest.
The hunters are men who will work for coin. Again, men who could be trusted with this kind of a thing, but will not put it ahead of their own lives.
Of course.
Regardless of who is in power, we all require hunters.
Are there any safe houses that we might tend to should things turn?
You notice her kind of look over at the two hooded figures that are in the room, and just kind of look back at you, and I'm sure that something could be arranged with some of my people around town, if you are interested, of course.
I imagine we are. What could we arrange?
Places to disappear, stay hidden if certain events were to transpire and those requirements would be met.
Or if we needed people, say, disappeared too.
This could be possible, but you would need to be the ones to arrange said people to those locations.
Of course.
If you were to do this, you could of course hold those people in that area and eventually retrieve them when the time is correct.
Of course.
But whatever this is, it must be done quickly, else your tribunal happens tomorrow, and I do not know if I can influence this outcome.
No.
Do you know what time the tribunal is slotted to transpire?
Tribunal tomorrow? Tribunals always happen after dark.
After dark.
One of the few things in this village where the Burgomaster lights up a specific area in order to have the tribunal take place.
What area?
Behind this mansion,
Behind his mansion.
away from the public eye,
I see.
ensuring that any information that comes to light does not reach the public ear as easily.
Do you know, so you know of some potential safe houses, do you know of potential other passages to and from the city? And would you be willing to let us know of those?
Those I do not know of. To my knowledge, there are none. The gates keep everyone inside the village inside, and keep anything outside the village outside.
She lied.
Oh.
She's
I rolled a nat one.
Not lying.
Top to top.
Yeah.
Milady, these safe houses, how will we find them? Should we require them?
Arrangements can be made to have people to indicate where they will be.
Your man's quite good at blending into the crowd.
The blends in when it's required and stands out when it is also required. He said you specifically impressed him with that display of bowmanship.
I've trained many years to master.
One of your kind, I have no doubt of this.
You seem rather unfazed by the faces at this table, much unlike the rest of the town.
I am not one so easily feared or struck by what is different. In fact, what is different is oftentimes what makes your life better. There are far too many people in this village who believe the opposite of this.
We've noticed.
They fear the things that will make their lives better.
My lady, this is perhaps a big ask, but should our lodgings at any point become unhospitable to us, is there a safe place we can be?
A safe house, perhaps?
A safe house, perhaps.
That has already been offered.
Or, supposing things don't turn, can we come here for refuge?
To this house?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Understandable.
This is really good food, though. Thank you.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. But those safe houses around the town, if those should be required for you, if you are in a pinch, there would be ways of either marking them or making you aware of their locations, and you could then use them as you required.
Wonderful.
Lady, do you believe our story that the coffin maker was hoarding vampire skull?
It does not matter if I believe it or not. We are the similar goal. We want the Burgomaster removed. I am simply offering you some kind of assistance in doing this. If you are to be the ones that do it, you'll have my gratitude.
I understand that it's not necessarily necessary to our goal for you to believe us, but I'm also interested in whether or not you'd believe that it's possible for vampires to be hiding in this town.
What I believe is unimportant. Anything in these lands is possible. I have no doubt of this. Things have been seen before that have never been seen again. Creatures in the woods, in the forests, that some claim to be real and some claim to not exist. This is something that was entirely possible. It is something that could have taken place, but without any kind of proof. There's nothing further I can say.
Is she being cagey and like avoiding answering my question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get inside check there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay.
Well, lady, do you think the Burgomaster's festivals have done anything to help this town?
To help this town?
Protect it from Strahd, or, you know, that evil, stupid Dracula man, or, you know.
Big fucking nerd.
The big fucking nerd. Or to do anything except drain the people of their funds.
I believe the Burgomaster does this because he enjoys displaying his dominance over the people. He enjoys reminding them of where they sit in the village. It is something that is all too common amongst people in power, and something that will soon be gone. I hope.
Do you know the coffin maker well? Or do you still know him well?
Henrik. I knew of him. We had spoken previously, long ago, but it had been some time since then.
And what did you make of Henrik?
A strange man, to say the least. Someone who kept very much to himself. Someone who, I would imagine, had his own goals and ambitions beyond making boxes for the dead.
It seems so.
Do you think he would be acting? Would it be out of character for him, do you think, to act kind of trying to think of the words?
He's acting on his own instead of under somebody else's orders?
Yeah, kind of thing.
Going rogue.
It was my job.
It is possible. Everyone, in one way or another, reports to someone else. Whether we admit it to ourselves or not. We all have something that we fight for, whether that is a thing or a person.
I just feel like I'm constantly like, can I roll a dice? Can I roll a die? Is she hinting that she speaks to a higher being?
Roll an insight check.
No, they're bad for me, so I don't think that's gonna be good. I don't know why I'm checking when that's a 7.
7. Tough to read. At this point, the plates are beginning to become scraped. Last few bites are being picked up. Les, you've choked down about a quarter of the meat that was put in front of you, and are struggling to put down any rest. So you notice as everybody else is beginning to put down their knives and forks, you in turn do the same. And she kind of looks over at you and looks at your plate. And was it not to your liking?
Oh, it was very, very tasty, but as I don't know if you've met many tribes before, but we're very partial to raw meat than cooked meat. But it was very delicious, all the same.
Make a deception check.
I'm trying to be polite.
You're doing so good. Proud of you.
Oh, that would be so good. What was it?
Deception.
Yeah, 12.
12? Okay. She just kind of looks at you and looks at the plate, and then just kind of, well, should food be arranged at one of the houses again? I'm not sure there is something raw cut on hand for you. I do apologize for the misunderstanding.
Not at all. I mean, have you met many Tritons before in this town?
I can't say that I have.
No harm done then.
Very well. So, Isaac,
Yes.
will he be a problem?
Sorry, I didn't say that out loud.
Amanda, not Allura. The rogue just like fucked us.
I love the entire table is silent. They just out of character. Probably.
Realistically.
Stepping out of character for a sec.
Yeah, you've got a minute. Take
We
yourself.
can very easily do this.
Here's my thought. I think we need to find Isaac and get our own beat on him before we fucking kill him.
Yeah.
I mean,
We got
I
a
can,
day.
I can shapeshift. I can
Well,
get
and
anywhere.
also, like,
Okay, we're the-
Lars told us all we'd have to do to talk to Isaac would be to ask the guards. Maybe we just play super fucking dumb and go try to find Isaac and be like, hey, we were just wondering about the tribunal, like, when is it? We heard you were the guy to talk to. And, like, get our own read on him before we agree to murder him.
Here's the thing, I think. We know that Isaac specifically commissioned a doll of Irina specifically.
That's true. That's a knock against them.
Yeah,
We
but we
also
also know that the Wachters fell out of like
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
With the town.
with
Yeah.
the town. The town was like, no, we do not want
I feel
you
like
in
this part.
power.
I feel like this part is like the part in Saved by the Bell, where Zach's like, "Time out," and everyone's
Yeah.
like. So
We're
anyway,
hearing
guys,
two super
Tableau.
biased stories from two people,
Yeah.
two families who hate each other. We're not getting any of the information, and she is also being super shady. Like,
Yeah.
One thing she doesn't like us sly talking Strahd.
she does not.
That's something that picked up.
Or the vampires in general.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Can
but
Right.
the enemy of I don't know.
Yeah, and like,
Is
is it
also our
something
enemy at this
perhaps?
point.
I think we're fucked if we go to the tribunal.
I think we are too. I'm not saying necessarily like that we say no to her. I'm just saying maybe we say we'll send her a message with
Okay. Well, here's my thinking, just real quick. Read
Our
Isaac.
decision.
So Isaac made a doll about Virina, presumably for Strahd or some Strahd-like thing.
He didn't.
He also said, according to the guards, he would be sending us a message.
Yeah.
He most certainly did not.
Mm-hmm.
He also abuses the guards
Yeah.
and the people.
I'm not necessarily saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying that maybe we needed like one more move before we agree to like murder hobo
I
him.
agree. I agree.
All right.
We got.
I don't trust her.
I trust her more than I trust the Burgomaster.
I mean, like,
And we
I
only
don't
have
trust
two
either of
choices
them.
here.
We chose
well-
option 3 and leave.
Can we
Well,
say
guys,
that
it's
we'll
been a good game.
we'll
I think
let
we just
her
say,
go
like,
with like
yeah,
Rick
we'll
will send a
consider
message.
her
Meld into
offer.
stone.
We're very interested, and we'll send our very secret, very discreet messenger
He's very discreet.
with our answer. Yeah.
Sorry, super funny. We have some people commenting in the chat. Somebody said ice cream sandwich. You misspelled it. Try ice cream sandwich. And then Chainsaw Duck just said your DM looks smug as fuck.
We're all arguing so
Yes, he
does.
He always does.
Thank you, Chainsaw Duck. It's true.
Jory
This
was
is
like,
my poker face.
Rock, fireplace, players.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Around what time is it right now, Jordy?
Looking out the windows, you would imagine the sun is fully set. It's probably closing in on 9-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've been inside for the better part of 2 hours between conversation, having drinks, getting a look around.
The other thing is, guys, too, that we might consider is we might want access to this house later,
Oh yeah, we do.
and it might be in our best interest
That's
to
true.
get the gratitude of.
Ooh,
I'm not arguing against it. Again, I'm not saying we say no. I'm just saying maybe we like do one last.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
we say yes because worst comes to worst, like she already said she can't affect the tribunal.
Yeah, but if she's aligned with vampires, she can still find a way to fuck us.
Yeah, but
We are
further
still
away.
trying. Yeah, we are still trying. They're gonna try.
I mean, I think if we give her a very polite deferral and just say we'll consider your kind offer, we're very interested. We just like a night to discuss it as a group, and that's like well within the bounds of diplomacy. She can't really get upset with that.
Okay.
And then maybe in the morning we go like, hey Isaac, what's up? Like, when's our tribunal?
But we can't kill him at that point. Like as soon
No,
as
but
I
like
think as soon as
we haven't
Jordy-
met this guy face to face. Like
We never met him.
Yeah.
I'm very ready.
Well, we could kind of get like a god, like speak to a god tonight and perhaps set up a meeting for the morning.
That's true. We
I was gonna say
could.
this is Jesse.
Yes.
I'll leave. I'm not having anything to do with killing this dude.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's what I figure. I'm like,
But I do think
Elise would be okay with it. Like, she's not against.
I mean, this dude
Killing
did
people?
arrange. This dude was like cool with a 19-year-old kid.
But again, like, I agree. The kid didn't die, and like, I'm not saying. Well, he didn't.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
okay.
But, no, he's mentally broken.
We also are not 100% that about what happened with the messenger. It's very likely he didn't send them to us, but like, that's one of those things that there could easily be a twist in there. Of like,
Okay, but
Yeah.
what's the tipping point?
Because we have it. I have it written down that
yeah, someone told us you're.
someone told us. So 3 days. I have written 3 days from now tribunal, and then in brackets we are to be made an example of, and then in secondary brackets guards.
I think
So
Kai
this
told
was
us that. I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
but Kai
this was
wasn't the
at.
messenger.
No, it wasn't Kai. It was, I think this was the drunk guys. Either you were listening or the drunk guys talking at the
Can
table.
Oh, maybe yeah.
Again, out of character. I might be dying here, so are we wrapping up for tonight, or
Yeah.
are we?
Yeah.
So
we can take this to the.
It's okay. It's just mildly. Like I'm ready to take some more.
That's fine.
Like,
Yeah, I'm getting tired.
medicine.
I'm
Alright.
like I'm on.
Do we leave it on like a super cliffhanger and like?
you guys are at the table right now.
Okay.
With Lady Wachter. You have the offer that's been made. You know the requirements. You kill Isaac, or find a way to remove him. Whatever that entails, he is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
The safe houses have been made as an offer, and it's up to you to decide where you want to take things. So, beginning of next week's session will be the finishing of the dinner at the Wachter house and deciding how you would like to proceed for the following day. So,
Slack.
thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you all of you guys for watching in. Unfortunately, we are catching just the tail end of this stream. Chainsaw Duck, yes, there is an ungodly amount of metagaming going on right now. So, yeah, it happens.
We don't always metagame.
We don't actually, you know what? The whole session, there has been no metagaming. It was just that last,
Yeah.
I'm stepping out of character. We need to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah, so, but overall, that was a really fun one. I'm glad that we made it to Wachter House. There were some interesting rolls, some interesting discoveries. I am very excited to see where this picks up next week. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Alrighty. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you guys for being part of the session. And is it Tuesday yet?
Yeah. Let's not.
No.
Jordy.
I know. But no, honestly. But is it actually? Like, with us internally, oh god, why is it not Tuesday? Alright. Thanks, guys.
Why is it not Tuesday?